Boo! Hello guys, and welcome back to another Black Screen. On today's stream, we are back with some more Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, and there it is. Oh my gosh, I just choked on my own spit. And as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, we are going to be playing more Ranked. Hooray! We're going to try to get to Master 1. Hooray! We're going to play some more games of Yu-Gi-Oh! Hooray! But before we do that, we have some exciting news. There's a new video we can react to. Hip hip hooray! If you haven't seen, which you probably have, because you're watching me, which means you're probably watching at least a decent amount of Yu-Gi-Oh! Content. There was a video that I want to go over. Or discuss, kind of. Yu-Gi-Oh! True. So there's this new video. Let me pull it up real quick. And I thought it was an interesting topic, given the fact that hold on. How did you know?
Guaranteed. 3 times Swedish national.
Okay. There is a video by Out of Characters, which I believe we've watched a previous video from. They have some very interesting video. Yeah. This one. Mathematically, the Duelist Cup is a human rights violation. Cool. We've watched this one. And I saw this video come into my feed. It's the art of bluffing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Which is very interesting, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not exactly very good when it comes to bluffing. You don't really bluff very much when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! There are some instances. I mean, literally yesterday we bluffed that we had an evenly matched and forced the Labyrinth player to play suboptimally, which ended up granting us the win. But alas, it's not really that big of a thing, especially in comparison to games like poker or what have you. Anyway, we're gonna watch this. I've watched a bit of this video, which is why I wanted to cover it, because I think it brings a rather interesting idea to mind that isn't necessarily always at the front of people's minds when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! So there.
Winner Herman Hansen has played hundreds of games of Yu-Gi-Oh! This weekend.
Also, it's about
the date
Herman
is March
Hansen,
23rd, 2025.
or at least partially.
There are about 8 hours
Who's
left
incredible.
in this month's Duelist Cup.
So
Hansen's in the running for the first place in the tournament, which would win him a ticket to the World Championships. He loses the coin flip against a player with a name that translates to "What are you doing for your future?", who I will refer to as Shorai. And in classic Master Duel fashion, Hansen only opens a singular hand trap, Nibiru, the primal being. The situation is dire. Within a couple of plays, his opponent is threatening to make Appaloosa before continuing their Snake Eye Fiendsmith combo, functionally eating Nibiru for breakfast. Now is his last shot to activate.
I'm sorry, what did that say?
Their Snake Eye Fiendsmith combo, functionally eating Nibiru for breakfast.
Get
now is
bowed,
his
asshole.
last shot to activate it. At this moment, Hansen is in an almost unwinnable position, and he's about to play one of the best games of his life.
So this concept is one of the things that I wanted to bring up, because well, you'll see. Peak editing, true.
Hansen makes the call to not use Nibiru here. He doesn't even take time to think about it, instead letting Shorai continue uninterrupted for the duration of their combo. Snake Eye Fiendsmith is strong for 2 main reasons: the redundancy of its playmakers and the power of its endpoints.
Fiendsmith, Snake Eye, yada yada.
Look at what Shorai has access to. At
the guy doesn't Nibiru when he
monster
could have
negates
Nibiru
in
to prevent the
a targeted
Appaloosa,
permanent
or
Omni negate in Sinful
not
Spoils
necessarily
Betrayal.
prevent, but
2
like
banishes off of
Nibiru
VSB
before the
waiting to be
Appaloosa
summoned
hits
off
the
of the
field and
Masquerade
likes
lurking
to
in the
do
spell
that,
trap
and that's
zone.
the
A
general
targeted
idea
monster negate with their
behind
set
this
copy of Infinite
specifically.
Impermanence. 2 forms of battle protection and co-linked Nightmare Phoenix and Link Karibo.
We all know this end board. I've made this end board. It's incredible.
Follow-up plays on their next turn
and
from the
it's
Fiend's
very,
Engine
very
and
silly.
Snake Eyes Flame.
Except for the fact that they're
All of
also
it.
playing Silvera, which I think is just a shit card and wouldn't play, because it's just there's no point to it. But sure.
This must be cleared with the Nibiru that he has made the conscious decision to not use.
Snake Eyes
These are
doesn't
now
work
5
very well
engine
with
cards
Oak.
that he draws into
They
for
know.
turn.
Rip
But as
Snake
weak as it
Boy.
looks, all
Okay, so you're new here. Welcome. We've proven that incorrect immediately. Like, day one, we proved that that's not the case, but okay, to each their own.
hope is not lost.
I remember
Hansen
first
has
seeing
one
this game
very
on Farfa
significant
stream.
advantage here.
Farfa!
Information. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a game of information.
Yu-Gi-Oh's a game of information.
Hansen knows all but 2 of Shorai's cards, the unknowns being a card in the hand and a mystery imperm lurking in the spell trap zone.
So, one of the things that makes this an interesting development, or an interesting game, is the fact that the hidden information is used so well. However, I do think that there is a problem with the analysis of this, that so many people are making seem significantly stronger than I think actually matters. And that is the use of the Nibiru, or the lack thereof for the use of the Nibiru, in the first turn. And the thing is, I would have to know the exact game state, but I think, genuinely speaking, because of the rest of that hand, the Nibiru itself, whether used on the first turn or not, provides similar value to how they use it here. That's what I'm going to say. Just keep that in mind.
In contrast, Shorai has almost no knowledge of Hansen's hand, other than the fact that he has used no hand traps on the previous turn. This could suggest that the hand is full of starters and extenders, bricky engine requirements, or even board breakers. Hansen opens with a copy of Kashtira Unicorn and Snake Eye Ash, powerful yet vulnerable.
So we start with
that
Unicorn,
all but
which
guarantee
immediately
he's not
gets sniped by
saving multiple
SP,
breakers and
SP,
script
then
board first.
then normals
Weak pushes
from the
like
Ash,
this
which
are a
gets
sign of
met by the
desperation. After summoning Black Witch, which burns through the
SP,
second Appaloosa,
which then goes
and the
into
Emperor.
Poblar,
Hansen
which
charges
gets
into
chain
battle.
blocked, and
He
then
intends
the
to destroy
Imperm
his
as well,
opponent's Black Witch
and then
for
they
three main
go to
purposes.
combat to
One,
deal with the
it ensures
Silvera.
Shorai's survival.
That's generally what happens in that instance. So generally what's happening, Shorai's getting another turn so they can afford to be greedy.
Permitting them to think more about follow-up instead of just disruption. 2. It demonstrates to Shorai that Hansen might be threatened by sinful spoils of Betrayal. Betrayal requires Black Witch on board to be able to use, and Hansen might be trying to trade his battle phase for it. 3. Destroying Black Witch by battle gives Shorai the opportunity to trigger its Grave Effect and tribute Snake Eye Flamer's Dragon, which enables...
This is something I wish I could tell you. I'm going to... Okay, actually, I have proof for this. I have been ahead of the meta several times. This is my second time, I will say, where I've been ahead of top players. I'm going to go back in time to when we played Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, where I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links a ton. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Let's watch this video, and then we'll talk about Snake Eye Oak, and more specifically, the collective hive mind being wrong.
Follow-up for Shorai in the 5 summons necessary to activate.
Sorry.
Rates to Shorai that
basically what's happening here is
Betrayal. Betrayal requires Black Witch on board to be able to use, and Hansen might be trying to trade his battle phase for it. 3. Destroying Black Witch by battle gives Shorai the opportunity to trigger its Grave Effect and tribute Snake Eye Flamer's Dragon, which enables follow-up for Shorai in the 5 summons necessary to activate Nibiru. Shorai takes the bait, and as a result gets their last Appaloosa negate blown out by the rock. Each remaining piece of the board is systematically picked apart in Hansen's ensuing combo. Engraver sends the Nib token, Little Knight banishes the Flamebear's Dragon, and Masquerena makes Underworld Goddess to check any follow-up plays involving Promethean Princess. Hansen earns his 1000 DP, saves the replay, and continues his climb.
Okay, so here's what I want to say. What so many people have talked about, specifically in regards to that play, and in regards to this guy right here, is that the Nibiru on the opponent's, or on their own turn, was such a big brain play. Holding the Nibiru there to play for it later was such a brilliant idea, and yada yada. And to be fair, I do think that it is a decently well executed play. And that being said, the rest of that hand was so absolutely disgusting that I do not think it mattered that the Nibiru came down when it came down. I genuinely think that if they were to have used the Nibiru on that first moment where they could have, it still would have ended up in a very similar facet, due to the fact that they had all 4 of their engines actually, in Fiendsmith, Snake Eye, Millennium, and Kashtira all readily available to them. That hand was maybe one of the best hands they could have ever produced when it comes to just pure engine, and while the Nibiru could have potentially clogged the field for the Kashtira stuff, ultimately I don't think it mattered, just due to the fact that the Nibiru could have contested something like the Appaloosa that they could have made later, or something else of that nature. They could have gone to combat to force out something else, like for example the Flomberg, just walk over the Flomberg, and then like from there summon the Kashtiras and pop off from there. I genuinely do think that this is a brilliant play that ended up working out, but it could have also heavily punished them depending on what else was in hand and what else was on field. We don't know what that set card is, and if that last card in hand was something like Maxi, this doesn't matter. And they should have Nibiru'd previously, but that being said, it wouldn't have mattered because Maxi is stupid and they didn't have an out to that. That being said, very well done. Incredibly intelligent play to kind of force the opponent to play into the Nibiru on your own turn is very smart, very well done. That being said, is also something that I don't think actually matters as much as this makes it out to be, as well as some other people have maybe made it out to be. That was one of the reasons I wanted to watch this, was because I was like, I don't actually think that this mattered. I would have to go back and see exactly what was happening in this duel, but like, if they're threatening Apo, I genuinely think you just nuke the field there, and it more or less accomplishes the same thing, which is, I mean, not having to play into as devastating of an Apo. So, that's kind of it. More or less, it accomplishes the same thing, is what I'm saying. Anyway, now that we're at a stopping point, there is a thing that I want to talk about. I have made 679 videos. Damn. Okay, let me see. Hello, guys. Oh my gosh. I spoke. Ew, disgusting. Okay. It's time to take a trip down memory lane, and we're gonna look at duellinksmeta.com. Nope, not that one. Not that one. Ignore that one. Not that one. That one's not real. Duellinksmeta.com. Not using Promethea early cost him the duel. That is true. There's a lot of things that I genuinely think, like, was an issue. Right? Immediately going for the SP on the Kashtira monster seems like a stupid, dumbass play that I hate so much. I get, like, oh, the Kashtira monster immediately contests Apollosa, except for the fact that it doesn't, because you have both Link Karibo and Phoenix, and, like, what the hell are they gonna rip out of your extra deck that you're gonna give shit about? Like, just allow that guy to resolve. Just like, yeah, dude, have a Kashtira. Anyway. Let's go back to Duel Links. We're talking about Duel Links. And this is in regards to the Oak ban. A lot of people are currently talking about how Snake Eyes Oak kills Snake Eyes. Removes Snake Eyes from the metagame. Okay? Now, in regards to this, I think, genuinely speaking, probably not that big of a deal. While many other people may seem that it is, I don't think it is. And the reason I say this is because sometimes people hive mind into one thing that a top player says. And there's no better explanation than this than Duel Links meta at the time. Dear Lanta, 4 years ago. Holy crap. Let me actually see if I have... Do I have a live stream from, like, clear back then? I don't think I do. I do not know when this was made. Hold your horses. When? What is the date on this video? That's a good question. Well, okay. Beside the point. I'm not going to be able to find the actual information. Anyway, as we can see here, there is a tier list that specifically states, like, all of the things, all of the top decks, yada yada. If we can also go here into speed, and we can see, here are the top decks, here's what people are playing, and if we click on this, we can see the skill as well. Now, this is important because, genuinely speaking, there was a moment in time where everyone believed that the best skill in the game was the Blue Eyes skill called Alternative Evolution. And all that it did is it changed the Blue Eyes on the field to Alternative Dragon. Alternative Blue Eyes Dragon, which popped a card. It was fairly decent, it was a good card, and it was in the game for a little bit prior to the release of Alternative Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon into Duel Links. The reason I'm bringing this up is because on the release... What the fuck just happened here? Why? Okay, stop that. Okay, I don't want these pair... Why did this do this? Don't do that. I want to pull... No, stop. I fucking hate Opera GX, dude. So why do you use it? Because I need to... Okay, come here. Why are you so fucking annoying? Okay, sorry. This is me back in the day when I was playing Duel Links. And you can see Ultimate Dragons was what I used. Now, why does this matter? Ultimate Dragons is a skill that says, hey, put like 6 cards into your extra deck. And on top of that, you also get to not break yourself. This was one of the most insane skills that I've ever seen. And it genuinely went under the radar for quite some time, simply due to the fact that the most popular player in Duel Links said, play Alternative Evolution. They were fucking wrong. The reason we know that they're wrong is because Decade eventually hosted a shit ton of tournaments that other players, eventually top players, genuinely started playing Ultimate Dragons as their top skill. As the skill to play, as the skill in this deck. And it was the top deck thanks to Ultimate Dragons. All I'm saying, people have been wrong, and people will be wrong, even if they are a top player. Decade is not a bad player. He was a very good Duel Links player. He was very informed on the metagame because he consistently hosted and watched and played tournaments and all of that stuff. He was very good. He was just wrong. I don't know how they even thought about this because Ultimate Dragons was so insanely busted, but it genuinely seemed like something where it was like, oh, we're going to take this thing that we were doing previously and just do it again with the new stuff, and surely it'll be absolutely insane. That was pretty much it. Anyway, all I have to say about this is there are some times where top players are just collectively wrong. We can also look at tier lists from the past. If any of you watched any Duel Links or paid attention to Duel Links in the past, there were a lot of times where top players would say Witchcrafter was tier 1, and then it would never show up in tournaments, and it was never very good, and they were just absolutely blatantly wrong. And the thing is, that was a collective hive mind saying, hey, Witchcrafter's crazy, and then it never was. Sometimes we're wrong. Hindsight is 20/20, and I genuinely believe Oak is one of those instances. I do not see a world in which Oak is actually that problematic of a ban for Snake Eye. We've literally tested it. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Anyway, moving on. He also held Silvera for too long, most likely to play around triple tack. So it's not Nibiru, but the fear of triple tack that won him that game. Yeah. It was avoidable by sending Phoenix instead of Lumbered. Yes. And then they could have had a Promethean live. Yeah, I don't know. This was a very... I think both players didn't necessarily... Going back to this. I think the Nibiru may be a bit overhyped because it's cool to activate Nibiru on your own turn, but realistically, they could have just activated the Nibiru prior to the Apo hitting the field, and it probably would have done the same thing.
Each remaining peak climb.
But let's watch
the
the rest
of this game
which is
ultimately
about
does not
bluffing.
amount to much, but it doesn't mean the contents don't. After I watched it for the first time, a question that I commonly ask myself when reviewing close games came to mind. What is the most pivotal moment here? It's definitely
What is the most pivotal moment here? I'll tell you what it is. The opponent deciding to not activate Silvera. Actually, I'll tell you what it is.
The outcome of this game ultimately does not amount.
It's the activation of Wraith South. That is the most pivotal moment in this game. Pack and Jesse tried to make Predaplant meta in the TCG and got laid out despite their known prowess. True.
Much, but it doesn't mean the contents don't. After I watched it for the first time, a question that I commonly ask myself when reviewing close games came to mind.
Wraith
What is
South.
the most pivotal moment?
It was Wraith
here?
South.
It's definitely subjective.
That card's
but I don't
stupid.
think
Me and
this
my
is
homies
the
hate that
pivotal
card.
moment of the game. I don't even think it's here. I think Hansen wins because right here he decides to do nothing at all.
I disagree. I think if you nib here, it does the exact same thing.
Hansen wins the game because he does not press this button. ever. If Hansen pressed this button on his opponent's turn for even the smallest amount of time, the game would be over, and here's why.
You're behind!
Throughout the course of this game, after this exact moment, Nibiru is a card that probably does not enter Shorai's mind. I asked Hansen about this game in Twitter DMs, and here is what he speculated about it.
I recognized he had enough bodies to go for the early Appaloosa, so playing the Nibiru in his turn wouldn't trade for anything on his end board. It was therefore safer to keep it and try to force him to summon 5 in my turn. It's really rare for Nibiru to be played like this. Nibiru in Master Duel is already quite uncommon, at least on higher rank.
Hansen is right. In the collection of top 100 lists on Master Duel meta, it's only featured in 25 of the 82 decks.
Here's the thing. I don't disagree with the decision to hold the Nibiru and potentially try and force it out later. That being said, I also don't think that activating the Nibiru there wouldn't have traded for a significant amount of interaction on the following turn. I don't think they get access to Promethean Engrave and Phoenix for protection and Link Karibo for protection and Appaloosa. It's very difficult to see them actually having all access to all of that in addition to what else have you due to Nibiru. So,
It wasn't the most standard card this tournament, and often those that played it only packed 1 or 2 copies. He's also correct that the way it gets used is weird. If you draw Nibiru, the common times to use it would be when a card that can negate it like Appaloosa is being threatened, or at the end of the main phase if paired with another card like Infinite Impermanence or Effect Failure. Holding it past the first turn is an almost guarantee that it will never hit the field. However, you don't necessarily have to use Nibiru to reveal that you have it.
Why
in
won't
order
they
to respond
add
to your opponent's
support
effects
for
in a game
Trimans?
of Master
Trimans
Duel,
are
you must
boring.
have a card you can activate and set your toggle to on. A toggle is a switch that, when turned on, lets the game know you would like to be offered the opportunity to activate a card effect. Sometimes, people want the game to stop them every time they have the opportunity to use something, so that they can think about whether they would want to use one of their cards, always keeping the switch on. However, this gives the opponent free information. After all, you're only going to get stopped if you have a card that meets its activation conditions, which makes it easy for the...
it was meta in Duel Links? Yes. And it sucked. And everyone hated it. That's not true. I was the only one who hated it. But, that being said, Trimids aren't exactly interesting. They're not really a deck that, like, given support becomes a... First of all, you'd have to basically redesign the entire archetype, which means giving it, like, 1 to 2 pieces of support isn't enough. You're going to need to give it, like, 5 or 6. On top of that, by doing so, you either have to change the fundamental way that the deck plays, which either alienates the previous players of the deck, or you would have to make the deck, like, do a bunch of additional random stuff that it wasn't originally doing, which still could alienate previous players, as well as not necessarily incentivize people to continue to play it. It's just not really a thing that they need to support, and they want to support. It's not really a reason to support the deck. It's Trimids, it's boring.
opponent to narrow down what card you might have. This information revealed by toggling is something Hansen is very aware of when playing Master Duel.
I never show my toggles in the game unless I misclick. In my opinion, half the MD game is playing with toggles, making your opponent think you have something you don't, or making them unaware of the things you do have. He of course did not know I had the Nibiru toggle.
For Hansen's plan to work, he has to hide his Nibiru, otherwise his opponent has access to some of the easiest counterplay in the world. A true classic that even old heads will remember. Just don't summon 5 times on your opponent's turn. Hansen even comments on it.
He could have played around it by just not sending his Flamberge, but he likely didn't even have Nib in mind.
If even the tiniest drop of priority had been passed to Hansen at any time during the main phase of the first turn, Shorai would consider the threat of Nibiru, and then there would be no way Hansen could possibly win. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a game...
This is something I do technically agree with. I think if they had seen the Nibiru, likely they don't send the Flomberg, but even then, I don't think it mattered. I think the rest of that hand was so insanely powerful that if they had Nibiru early, it still would have done more or less the same thing. So...
of information, and Hansen held all the cards, so in this game, he navigated the line to victory. I'd like to talk a bit about information in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it's incredibly important. The ways good players acquire, conceal, and reveal information are crucial skills that separate them from the rest. The first time I was made aware of how crucial information could be came with the deck of Mind Crush. If you're an old head that remembers not summoning 5 times on your opponent's turn, it's possible you remember this card being used in a slew of side decks up until around 2019. It even spent some time on the limited list. By modern standards, you might even feel like this makes sense. The effect is similar to banned cards like a Pointer of the Red Lotus and Smoke Grenade of the Thief, Confiscation, and the Forceful Sentry. Hell, even Talents is limited these days. Unlike these cards, Mind Crush is at 3, and sees no play in Yu-Gi-Oh!'s advanced format. This is by design in a very literal sense. In 2019, there was a rule change that removed the need for the opponent to verify that certain effects involving areas of private information had been resolved correctly. Back in the day, after you...
This is one of the strangest rule changes I think I've ever seen, by the way. Not forcing the opponent to verify. Like, it does make sense, but it's also one of those things where it's like, so they could just lie. Like, obviously in official tournaments that's not going to happen, right? If you're like with a judge right next to you watching your shoulder and you just like blatantly lie, like that's obviously not going to happen. But like, in regards to just local play, it's like, cool, I'm just gonna say I don't have it and then be like, oh, I top decked it. Oh, I simply top decked it. Oh, it's fine, I just top decked it. Lying like that is common in Magic? Exactly. It's one of those things where it's just like, dude, Konami, like, what are you talking about? I do get it.
Activated Mind Crush, you could verify the hand of your opponent to make sure they weren't hiding any copies of the card you called. This gave the card some additional utility. If you activated Mind Crush, regardless of whether or not you called a card in your opponent's hand correctly, you gained full knowledge of what they had to work with and could structure the rest of the duel accordingly.
Calling tough there is so funny, because it's just like, well, I know exactly your hand does nothing now, sick.
This aspect of the card is built into cards like a Pointer and Smoke Grenade, and ended up being the deciding factor in Mind Crush's viability, which immediately plummeted. But why is this information so important? You're still playing with the same cards, right? In other card games, effects like this can exist without too much of an issue.
Dude, Thoughtseize is one of the most insane cards I've ever read. Magic the Gathering has some stupid cards. I cannot stress how powerful information is in a card game where literally all of your decisions can be boiled down to knowing what your opponent's cards do. If you know everything your opponent has, and you can just be like, cool, I don't have to worry about this, this, or this, it's so good. Or you can be like, oh, I have a timer on how long it's going to take for them to get this, this, or this. It's insane. And the fact that, genuinely speaking, Thoughtseize is a card that exists in, like, every format in Magic is baffling to me. It'd be like if Forceful Sentry was in every format in Yu-Gi-Oh! And we just had to deal with the fact that a guy could go, I'm going to play a thing, and then just look at your hand and be like, that one. It's not technically to the same level, but it pretty much is to the same level. It's insane. And, yeah, that's it. Looking at your opponent's hand is crazy.
In Magic is a card
I think
that is so
people
well known
now
that I learned
realize
about it
how
through
powerful
osmosis, and I boot up Arena like once a year on average. One of Yu-Gi-Oh's
It took
defining
25
traits in
minutes to
contrast to
update.
other
True.
games is its speed, and in most games, the contents of your opening hand will define much of what happens in the game. Therefore, getting to peek at your opponent's hand and take a card is one of the strongest effects you can have, because of the taking, but also because of the peeking. Now, aside from a few very recent exceptions, it is true that most of these choose something to hand loop cards aren't available in the format, and haven't been for a while. If you're not a water aficionado, the process of gathering information is a lot less straightforward than just looking at your opponent's hand, and is divided into a couple different kinds of things.
Dude, it's crazy. Like, I very heavily underestimated Aqua Angel because I was like, wait, what does this card even do in this deck? This card's crazy. Getting access to the ability to see your opponent's hand is so insanely good for specifically Marincess. It's like, do you have Nib? Okay, I'll play around Nib. But like, it's so funny. It's crazy how powerful it is.
Information is a lot less straightforward than just looking at your opponent's hand, and is divided into a couple different kinds of things. It's worth noting that not all of this information is completely reliable. Very little in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is completely...
I'm sorry, what is going on with this guy's hand? Or arm? I have never seen this artwork close up, and it never should be close up. Get that thing as far away from me as possible, dear Lanta.
But that does not mean that the information is useless.
What is happening to
the
your
first type of
tumorous
information is
arm,
what you
bud?
can learn from the game state. This is the basic stuff, and encompasses a wide variety of factors.
What you can learn by not jingling keys during your opponent's Memento combo. Memento.
That you can gather just from paying attention to the game, and it's here because it's by far the most reliable.
Okay, that
One
makes
of the
more
reasons
sense.
tournament
That
players often
doesn't
ask
look
about
like
the
that's
number
what
of
it
cards
is,
in
but
hand
that does make
because
more
it gives
sense.
them a sense of the amount remaining they need to
Right,
play through, which
based.
helps them decide how to make use of their resources or interruptions. For example, let's say I'm playing a game and my opponent has no cards in hand. I know for a fact I do not have to think about Nibiru, because I can see that they have nothing, and therefore there is no possibility of it being activated. The second type is what you can deduce from your opponent's actions within the game. For example, let's say my opponent summons a spirit with Eyes of Blue on their turn.
Why is there a Beast of Talwar?
Opting not to activate the effect to search a Mausoleum of White. While there might be reasons to do this to play around certain cards, a common reason is that they might not have a search target. Because of this, you might deduce that they have all their copies of Mausoleum in their opening hand, or not playing the card. The third type is what you can guess at from your knowledge of standard deck lists. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has common patterns in deck building and gameplay, and you can use these to assume things about what your opponent might have. For example, if my opponent playing Blue Eyes has a set card, I might assume it's something like Infinite Impermanence, Majesty of the White Dragons, True Light, Dominus Purge, Called by the Grave, or Primite Drill Beam. I probably wouldn't assume
That's
it's something like
Drill
House of
Beam. It's
Concealed
always
Fate.
Drill
Despite the
Beam.
fact
Why is it not always Drill Beam?
that the card is at 3 compared to Called by at 1, I am not sure anyone has ever put a copy of House of Adhesive Tape in a card sleeve, so it does not make sense to play around it. I might also assume that the set is more likely to be a card like Imperm or Purge compared to Majesty.
You know,
or
you so
True Light.
power, so much
Because of
power
standard-
in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not even funny, especially with the quality of cards modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Has. Snake Eyes can genuinely play around virtually any hand trap they want. Yep. That's one of the things that makes Yu-Gi-Oh! Hand knowledge so powerful, and it's what I'm guessing. This guy is trying to argue, like, hey, bluffing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Here's the thing: bluffing in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, doesn't matter. And the reason I say this is because, at least in the TCG, and to a lesser extent in Master Duel as well, bluffing your cards matters so much less, because if you have it, you win the game. And if you don't, you tend to lose. So, like, for example, if my opponent is going full combo and I have Nibiru in hand and my Nibiru does stop their full combo, great, fantastic. My Nibiru stops their full combo. I don't have to think about bluffing that I have Imperm. I could just be like, cool, here's the rock. Die. Right? But if it doesn't, and they get to go full combo, and I don't have the necessary plays to play through their board, I don't have the necessary plays. That is a, like, common occurrence. It's like, cool, here's a Nibiru. Anyway, they still make the full board, and I still can't play through it because every single one of the cards in my hand is a dead card now. Just in general, right? They're just, like, not good, or they're going to get negated by Apollosa, or a myriad of other things. Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not a good example for bluffing. Now, old school Yu-Gi-Oh! That matters a lot more. If we're talking GOAT or Edison format, there are so many more cards that having them face down or having them in your hand, not giving information to the opponent, matters so much more. Because that set card could be something as simple as Dimensional Prison, but it could also be a Mirror Force. It could be Torrential. You could have a set Raikou on your field, or it could be a set, I don't know, Card Trooper that you really didn't want to play because it was game 1. Raikou Mind Game is genuinely, it's genuinely something. And so this is more of like a, modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't necessarily not profit from bluffing. Pro set heavy, true. But there are so many more instances where the further back you go, the more important it is to, like, bluff your cards. And a lot of that comes from the simple fact that, like, you generate a lot more advantage from the unknown if your unknown cards matter more. Does that make sense? Like, if I have more unknown cards over the course of a game, it's going to matter more if my opponent gets one right than if in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! I start with 5 unknowns and I'm basically only ever going to get 6 unknowns. Right? That made a little sense, but don't worry about it. Basically what I'm saying is, like, old school Yu-Gi-Oh! It mattered a lot more because you were seeing a lot more of those unknowns, and therefore bluffing for a potential benefit could happen more often and was likely to be better. Whereas in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Basically you just have to draw the out a lot of times. Not always, but a lot of times. Can they give you a warning or game loss for that in the TCG? For what? Oh, for, like, bluffing an Imperm? If you don't have it? Technically, no. If your opponent, like, summons a guy and goes, activate effect, response, and you go, thinking, that is technically a bluff. Because you're technically saying, like, oh, I have a response. But in reality, no, you're just saying, like, hey, let me think about this. It's not being like, thinking. I'm thinking I want to imperm this. Like, yeah, like, you can't say what's in your hand. Thanks to Tenpai, I'm Master 5 now? Yeah, that sounds about right, bro. I'm sorry. But anyway, but that's what I'm saying is like, it doesn't even matter because you can just be like thinking, and whether you have it or not, like if you have the responses, you win. If you don't, you lose. There's not a whole lot of like direct interaction when it comes to like specifically bluffing a card. That's more so what I'm trying to say is like, even if I were to potentially bluff that I have Imperm, it's not going to matter nearly as much. The only thing in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! That we genuinely starts to bluff is Nib. But even then, we don't, because it's honestly more advantageous to just not really think about that too much. You just nib when you nib, and it's good, and then you move on. Either it works or it doesn't. You can railroad an opponent's thought process through behavior, but you can't sit there and out loud count the summons to directly manipulate the opponent. Is this your 4th summon? Yeah. Yeah, you couldn't do that. You could go like... You go like... I'm sorry. You could be like... How many... I think you can go like... How many summons is that? Like, that is a genuine question that you can do. You can't say, is that your 4th summon? But you could ask, I think, how many summons is that? Or like, what have you summoned? What have you activated? Kind of thing. I don't know. It's a gray area. That's really frustrating as well. Because like, that can get a judge called on you. And it's one of those things where it's like, Magic the Gathering does this a lot where they like bluff, and it's basically just like forcing the opponent into thinking of a specific thing as opposed to a different thing. And it's barely a bluff and more of just like manipulation. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a little bit, I don't know. You can't say anything? I believe you can. You absolutely can ask what has been summoned. Or more specifically, what you have activated. That is not against the rules in any facet. Yes, you can't misrepresent Nibiru, but you can ask them, what have you done? What have you summoned? What have you activated? What was the turn? That is all known information. Because you can ask, like, hey, what's in your grave? What do I know in hand? They don't have to give the information for unknown locations, but you can. You can ask. People like calling judge and take up time. If people do that, they are also sharking. In which case, you can both be reported. Both of those instances would be a potential judge call. In which case, honestly, I'd be like, judge, they called a judge on me for asking for known information. But that's the thing. Bluffing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Technically is not allowed by the TCG/OCG standards. That being said, you still have to do it. Like, it's not a simple thing of like, oh, just don't bluff. No, it's like, that is the card game. There are unknown cards. You, just by interacting with the opponent, because you have to do that, is a bluff in some capacity. That being said, the rules make it so that you can't really do that, and it's extremely frustrating, and it's why I hate the TCG. It's why I don't play in paper, because the rules make it so that you actually can't play the goddamn game. Depends who you play with for the TCG. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. But that's the thing. That's why I don't play the TCG. That's why I play mostly and almost exclusively Master Duel. Because there are so many stupid restrictions due to rulings that just like force the game into a non-game. You can bluff, you just can't straight up lie. Too many people confuse the two to a point that it's a pet peeve. Yes, you can't be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they're just, like, not... I don't know. You can't, like, misrepresent some of the stuff. Like, if you were to say that, like, I'm playing Sword Soul, and you have a Sword Soul token, and then you normal summon Aluber and play Branded, and there's no Sword Souls in your deck. Like, that would be illegal, according to Konami Terms of Service. That being said, that's stupid as hell, and it's one of the reasons why I genuinely despise the way that the TCG works. The rules and the fact that the judges on the rulings are the ones making the decisions make it extremely frustrating, because there are so many instances in the rules that are not specifically stated, and that are like very nebulous and up to the individual judges. So sometimes you can get absolutely screwed by an individual judge as opposed to an actual ruling, and it's very frustrating, and I hate it. Thanks, Master Duel. Just need the side deck and best of 3. Look, as much as I enjoy sitting down and playing a game across from an actual opponent, I do really enjoy playing Yu-Gi-Oh! More in person than in Master Duel or across, like, online. Genuinely, the rulings that Konami has decided to come up with for in-person play are so bad, it's not even funny. And I can't. A lot of it also comes down to, like, time rules as well. The infamous Sword Soul token incident. I mean, recently we also had the lab player in, the like, Arius cosplayer who ended up accidentally picking up their card before resolving a card in end phase or something along those lines, and they were like, up, accepted game state, even though literally immediately before the card was even looked at, the person realized and went to resolve the card during end phase, and they're like, up, you picked up a card, both of you had the accept. It's so... That's why I don't like judges. As much as, like, I appreciate that the judges are willing to judge this game, that's why I don't like the TCG. That being said, in Master Duel, bluffing is a joke, and people who say that, like, oh, the toggle matters, it doesn't. 99.9% of the time, it doesn't. It genuinely doesn't. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Ratios the cards are played at. These assumptions should change based on the type of person you're playing against.
Did you see the Ice Dragon Prison Bug video from Decade? No.
X4 at a local and is playing without a mat, you might decide that taking extra effort to destroy a set trap before going to the battle phase is a good idea on the chance it's a creative choice. Knowledge of standard deck lists can't always inform you of cards played by creative deck builders at the bottom tables, but creative deck builders also play at the top tables with unexpected text meticulously chosen to beat the standard stuff through hours of testing. This doesn't mean that making assumptions is bad either. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has so many cards in the pool that you can't possibly play around everything. It's better to account for the types of cards you think your opponent is likely to
you can play around everything.
Shift your expectations when playing against different
opponents. It's called FTKing
the fourth type, which might be controversial, is what you can gather from your opponent outside of the game. If you've been scouting during a tournament, you might even know your opponent's list card for card.
It's called you activate the effect of the Gimmick Puppet field spell, and then you send the thing that forces them to not be able to respond to your cards and effects, and the thing that allows them to not target you, and then you literally FTK them, and they can't do anything about it. Literally. I get a lot of mileage out of Toggle Andy because most Master Duel players don't have a neurodivergent fixation on this game like I do. Here's the thing. As much as I want to act like the toggle matters, it doesn't. It matters in maybe 1% of games that you use it. And that being said, most of the time it doesn't. Simply because if someone is good enough, they are going to discount any toggle that they possibly have. That you possibly have, or that they possibly have. They are going to ignore that fact and just play around the stuff that is possible. Right? Obviously, they're not going to play around everything because it's not impossible, but generally speaking, even if I don't see a toggle, even if I don't see some sort of interaction, I am constantly thinking about Nibiru, Imperm, Valor, etc., and potential uses for those cards. Because genuinely speaking, that's what I should be doing. Now, most Master Duel players are dumb enough to not actually do any of that stuff, but for the most part, that is generally what you should be doing. The toggle doesn't actually do anything in that regard. yes, technically speaking, it makes it easier for people to think of specific interactions that could affect at that point, and it can kind of tax them mentally to force them into, like, maybe a specific line of thinking, which could potentially make them misplay. But again, for the most part, it's not going to matter. Either they're going to activate the card effect when it matters, or they're not, and they don't have the card. Those are kind of the two things. That's basically it, right? In which case, again, the toggle maybe matters, like, 1% of the time. If it does, great. If it doesn't, most of the time, again, not really worth it. That being said, if you're a very, very top player, maybe it matters a little bit more, but I don't know. Yes, toggling to on does matter. I'm more so talking about, like, removing your own toggles. It's useful for not snitching that you have Kieran in hand or something. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like, again, turning things to on is very useful in this game. I'm more talking about hiding your own toggles to mask hand traps, or to force the opponent into thinking that you have a hand trap that you don't. Like, potentially having something like an imperm that you're waiting to use on the following turn to negate something like Apo, but disguising it as a Nibiru. Like, you could do stuff. Yes, the difference between setting from auto and on is very important. I'm more so talking about the other way, where you're like, oh, I'm going to toggle off. The hand trap minigame? No, like genuinely bluffing. Like being like, oh, I'm going to turn my toggle on now so that they see it's Nibiru, and it's not Nibiru, it's for something else so that they maybe play around it. Like that stuff. That doesn't matter. Unless your opponent's really bad, in which case, you probably would have won that game anyway. Congratulations, your opponent's bad.
Of mine if you want more information on that. This
And
category also includes a variety of tricks, traps, reads, and tells that can honestly be so complex that they might warrant their own video later, or a 400-page book if your name is Patrick Hoban.
So funny. So funny that that's a thing. I think it sometimes comes up if you want your opponent to make Wave King Caesar and use their mats to get to a point where they can't end on a useful board. Okay, so if that works, your opponent's bad. Congratulations, you're going to win that game anyway. Toggle is legal cheating. Yeah. Anyway.
It is important to note that the farther away you get from what you can see, the less dependable the information tends to be. Shorai lost based on this deduction. If my opponent opened Nibiru, they would have used it during the first turn. Nibiru is also not the most commonly played.
No, Shorai lost because Herman Hansen drew literally 5 of the most powerful engine cards in the entire game. That Nibiru didn't fucking matter. I hate to say it, that Nibiru in that game that we are referring to, which was clear back here, which was like an hour ago, this Nibiru didn't matter. I want you to look at that hand and tell me that the Nibiru mattered. Trust, it mattered. It mattered. It mattered. The Nibiru, it mattered. No, that hand's not absolutely insane. One of the most disgusting hands I've ever seen in my entire life. No, it's the Nibiru and hiding the Nibiru. The Nibiru didn't matter. It could have, but it didn't. Because every single one of those cards needs to be contested in like 4 different ways, and there just wasn't enough. All those cards are free starters and must interacts. 4 engines? Yeah. And they drew, like, the best card for every single fucking one of them. Yeah, again, this hand didn't matter. The Nibiru, it was icing on the cake.
So it isn't
It was
likely
something that they
drew into
could do to make it look
Hansen
very
never
cool,
presented
but
any
it didn't
information
matter.
to contradict this assumption until he literally activated Nibiru on the second turn. In Yu-Gi-Oh!, this kind of play is often called a slow roll, where you activate a card later than expected so that your opponent can't play around it. It's one of the ways you can use lesser...
I've never heard that term used ever in Yu-Gi-Oh! Ever. But I understand slow roll, yeah, that is what it is. It's just,
reliable information against your opponent to get them to do what you want. The other, far more famous way to do this is called bluffing. Bluffing is not a new concept or unique to Yu-Gi-Oh! People have probably been doing it for as far back as there have been games with hidden information, the most notable being War.
父亲何故退兵？你不知，诸葛向来用兵谨慎，不曾弄险。如今城门大开，无见兵将，城中必有埋伏。再者，诸葛亮琴声诱寒杀机，我兵若进城，必中其计。快撤！撤！撤！快撤！
A close second, however, would be poker. Poker honestly shares a lot of similarities with Yu-Gi-Oh! As far as the importance of information goes, since both games require you to structure your plays around guesses.
Most difficult power I've ever had is the opponent committing into Roach Fua, like waiting for Fusion Albion and Brandon, and not Brandon Fusion on an empty board. Sure. You didn't want to nib early because opponent might have a Millennium.
Even a lot of
left
the
in hand.
vocabulary is shared. Words like tilt, Brits, drawing the nuts, angle shooting, and bubbling are used in both games. Though Yu-Gi-Oh! Has bluffing in its roots as far back as the tip cards included in its first ever reprint set, poker is practically synonymous with it. In poker, not ever bluffing is actively detrimental to the results of a well-rounded player. In Hall of Fame player Doyle Brunson's Poker Strategy Classic Super System, he writes,
If you've never had the opportunity to see a real no-limit game, you'd be very surprised how much bluffing there is. Good no-limit players bluff 4 or 5 times as often as good players in limit games. Bluffing in no-limit requires real strategy and the ability to size up your opponents every time you sit down to play.
Bluffing in poker is a great equalizer. It is both a tool used by aggressive and advantaged players to bully out their competition, and the origin of the phrase any2, referring to the fact that even the lowest 2 cards might be able to win a poker hand through bluffing. As a result, a significant amount of time and effort has gone into writing theory about bluffing and reading players. One of the main takeaways is this: for a bluff to be effective, it needs a story to tell.
That's...
Now, how does this relate to Yu-Gi-Oh? It's called skills, son. Yeah, just click that yellow button in the top right corner. We're playing Duel Links now. Yes, bluffing is like one of the few things that you actually can get good at in poker. Like, genuinely speaking, as much as poker does require skill, almost all of that skill is devoted to bluffing and reading the opponent's bluff. Pretty much everything else is just luck. Yu-Gi-Oh! On the other hand is almost the opposite, especially in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Because bluffing very rarely matters. It can occasionally, but it very rarely does, because most of the time, players have a set thing that they can or cannot do based on the cards that they control / have access to, and therefore are going to make the optimal play pretty much every time. Your bluff generally doesn't change much in regards to that, especially if, like, your bluff is a bunch of unknown cards in your hand, because at that point, what is the opponent possibly going to play around? Yes, we did in fact make the opponent think that we had evenly matched, which did force them to do a bunch of things. That being said, my opponent's also bad for doing that. But I've done it too. Anyway, the point is, like, yeah, it's very rare that it actually matters. At least in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! That's like the one thing that you can do is bluff evenly.
Another thing that distinguishes Hold'em from other games, except for the now nearly dead game of 5-card stud, it's very easy to see when you have the nuts, or very close to it. You can use that fact to great advantage in Hold'em because you can represent or bluff when you don't have the nuts, and when you're quite certain your opponent doesn't have them either.
Bluffing has to present a credible threat, and in poker, that credible threat comes from a postured phantom of an unbeatable hand, the nuts. If the flop comes down with a 10, a jack, and a queen, and the player starts shoving chips in the center, it doesn't take a genius to start to fear the straight. The shared cards in poker dictate the possibility of these strong potential hands, and if a player makes the read that the others at the table are hesitant to commit to the pot, a bluff might be all it takes to earn free money with garbage cards. This is a gross oversimplification, of course. As with most well-designed games, any action in poker has a good deal of options for counterplay.
For example, betting strong with a small hand can be a way of catching a loose player trying to bluff and make them pay dearly. Sure. Poker Face and Master Duel. True.
Without the story, though, bluffing inherently doesn't make sense and becomes ineffective. This is something that transcends poker and applies to all
boss of
boards.
lies.
Let's take a look at an example of a bluff at an extremely high-profile premier event, my locals in February of 2024, and break it down into some of the critical pieces. At this tournament, I was playing Branded, and my opponent was playing Tri-Brigade Lyrilisc. This was the first time my opponent and I had played, so we didn't have any prior...
hinges on my opponent lacking info from Area 4, prior knowledge of my deck from outside of the game.
knowledge of each other's deck lists. I lose the die roll and am forced to go second in game 1.
Try again.
My opponent combos into a board of Utopic Draco Future, Appaloosa with 4 negates, and a 5 material Ensemble Robin with 2 unknown cards in hand. I open Super Poly, a copy of Bestial Lubellion, and 3 engine cards that I didn't think to write in my Discord message to my friends after the tournament ended. Utopic Draco Future, often called UDF, is not the easiest card to out with Branded. It can't be destroyed by battle or card effects, meaning that there are 2 main
Brother, you fucking opened Super Poly. Shut the fuck up. You won the game. What do you mean? Super Poly literally wins you the game, like, on the spot there. I hate this. I immediately hate
ways
this.
to get rid of it. The banish effect of Mirror Jade, or the on-summon effect of Fallen of Albaz to use UDF as fusion material. This is made more complicated by the fact that UDF can negate a monster effect once a turn, meaning that it inherently resists its own outs. Going into my turn, UDF is what I am most concerned over, since Ensemble Robin and Appaloosa are easily answerable by my Super Poly. I start the turn by doing just this, and Super Poly the monsters into a Mudragon of the Swamp. My next step is to activate its effect. Mudragon has the ability to change its attribute, preventing your opponent from targeting monsters of that attribute.
The same thing when
In
I
a
saw
regular
this.
Branded deck, the right choice for this would probably be
Bluffing!
Dark, since it can protect many of the
Bluffing! Yeah, we're totally bluffing and not just drawing super polymerization. This is exactly my point. Bluffing in Yu-Gi-Oh!, especially fucking modern Yu-Gi-Oh!, just doesn't matter 99% of the time. It's like, oh yeah, I can fake that I have a thing. It doesn't matter. The opponent knows generally what's going to happen. If, like, as soon as they see a card, they go, I know exactly what I need to interact with. I know exactly where to use my interactions and what's going to possibly be an issue.
Dark cards in your deck like Albaz, Kit, Aluber, Albion, and Mirror Jade from your
These are
opponent's
Super
effects.
Poly. They be
Instead,
up to
I
the
choose
true
Light.
Super
Here
Poly
is where I
bomb.
start writing the story of my bluff, because I'm depending on my opponent piecing together why I might go out of my way to activate Mudragon at all, and why I chose that attribute in particular. My next play is to activate the Bestial Lubellion, which resolves and allows me to add a copy of Bestial Magnamut from my deck to my hand. I activate my Magnamut and target the Lubellion in my grave, and my opponent is forced to think about what I might be doing. None of my actions are a direct threat to UDF, but they convey a couple of things for my opponent to deduce. 1. I am not planning to summon the Bestial Lubellion in my grave, since if Magnamut resolves it will be banished. 2. By banishing Lubellion, I am paying a significant opportunity cost to put Magnamut on the board. I must not have anything better to banish, and putting it on the field must enable some kind of important play involving Magnamut.
I thought
3.
you didn't have
I've chosen
anything
to
else
make my
to
Mudragon
ban. What are we
light,
talking
meaning
about?
that Magnamut being summoned will leave me with a level 4 light and a level 6 dark monster. My opponent makes sense of the story and understands the bluff. I am threatening to synchro summon a Chaos Angel with both a light and a dark monster. This Chaos Angel would be unaffected by activated monster effects, unable to be destroyed by battle, and would be able to banish UDF on summon. This would result in me winning the game because my opponent's deck probably did not have any outs to it if it gets summoned. It's even partially supported by my opponent's knowledge of standard lists. Bestial engines are common choices in synchro decks like Centurion, or even certain builds of Branded. There's just one problem. I don't own a copy of Chaos Angel. Branded's most powerful card, Branded Fusion, locks you into fusion monsters for the duration of the turn, which means that summoning anything else besides fusions is a huge problem. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a game of information.
It's not a
Because my
bluff, that's
opponent
a
had never
threat.
played me before.
Bingo! Yep, it is a, hey, you have to answer this. This is a must interact. If you don't, you die. Smile. That being said, yes, it is smart to try and threaten this through, you know, like in Branded. But with that being said, I don't think that matters. Simply due to the fact that, like, also this is turn 26. What is happening? It's fine. It's whatever.
My story of Chaos Angel makes enough sense, and it
Super
presents a
Poly
threat that he
itself
thinks
is
too
just so
dangerous to allow. He
unbelievably
uses the UDF to
powerful
negate
here that
Magnamut's
it
summoning
didn't matter.
effect, which lets me out it cleanly with Mirror Jade later in the turn and win the game. By thinking about the story you're telling through the way you choose to play, you
I
can
don't
bluff
think
cards
this actually
Mirror
mattered
Jade
as
later in the
well.
turn
I
and win
understand
the
the
game.
idea of, like, oh, I'm bluffing that I have the Chaos Angel, so they're forced to negate the Magnamut, and therefore they're, you know, yada yada. That being said, doesn't matter, Super Poly. Smile.
By thinking about the story you're telling through the way you choose to play, you can bluff cards that aren't
This
even
guy's
in your
threatening
deck.
something his
This is
opponent
part of what
is
is so
100%
important about
unaware
managing
he's
what
doing.
information you're showing your opponent.
Most
Let's
likely.
say I discarded a copy of everyone's favorite banned card
Gimmick Puppet Nightmare.
to activate Super Polymerization. Nightmare was only played in Branded builds that played Branded Fusion, so just the act of revealing I have a Nightmare in my deck would have given my opponent enough information to conclude that Magnamut being summoned was not worth negating. This is entirely due to the order in which I reveal my cards. A question you might ask is this: was my opponent's choice to negate Magnamut correct? If you are in my opponent's position, should you call the bluff? This situation is admittedly tough for them. Losing their two main pieces of interaction to Super Poly probably made it difficult to win regardless, but I think it's worth exploring these kinds of situations to know what to think about when they happen to you. In a 28
Here's the thing. This is based on information that is not readily available, right? given the opponent's knowledge, right? Not just what you're bluffing, but given the actual opponent's knowledge, I do not think that there is a world in which you do not negate that Magnemite. But even with that being said, I don't think it mattered in any capacity because super polymerization changed the way that that game fundamentally works. If super polymerization isn't there, and you actually have to play out that game, I don't think it matters. Because genuinely speaking, activating the effect of Utopic there kind of doesn't change anything. You could still go into Mirror Jade to potentially interact with it favorably. You could go into Aluber, or not Aluber, Albaz to interact with it favorably. There's a lot of stuff there that, like, I get the idea. It is a fairly decent bluff, all things considered. But that being said, I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say that it was, like, wrong for them to negate the Magnemite. Magnemite also provides such insane advantage once it hits the field, just due to the fact that, like, you also get the Banish, and on top of that, you also get the additional body, and on top of that, it gets a body during the end phase, and on top of that, like, I don't know.
18 Reddit post. Oscar from MST TV explores bluffing in Yu-Gi-Oh! He goes over a couple of different kinds of bluffs in the post, of varying legality, but he proposes a way of looking at potential bluffs to determine when it's good to do them and when it's good to call them. Bluffing in general often ends up requiring a player to play suboptimally in some way in order to make the bluff convincing. In my example of bluffing in Branded, I intentionally had to avoid discarding cards for super polymerization that might be better in the graveyard, like the Puppet or Despian Tragedy, because they gave up information that contradicts the bluff. I couldn't make Mudragon Dark to protect my important dark monsters, and I could have even ended up banishing my one copy of Bestial Lubellion. Even classics, like setting a normal spell as a bluff, take a card from your hand where it is safer and put it on the field where it could be destroyed for no benefit or cause other problems. Like in poker, bluffing usually involves you taking some level of risk that could pay off if your opponent behaves in the way that you want them to.
You can wait and
Not
steal
all
Mirror
bluffs are
Jade
risky
if the
though.
Magnum bluff
Letting your
didn't
opponent know
work.
that you need a moment to think after their 5th summon has no in-game cost and is completely legal if you don't take too long, but might route them into a
It'd be the
weaker
same
board
with
that
any
plays
of the
better into
Bestials.
Nibiru when you don't have it.
Yep.
There are also times when your position is so bad that any amount of risk is acceptable for a bluff that could get you back in the game. In this video, Jesse Cotton highlights a theoretical bluff in Labyrinth from the finals of YCS Raleigh in 2024. In this situation, Jack Zhou, who is on Labyrinth, is in a losing position against Cameron Neal on Snake Eye. Zhou has a backjack engrave that can only pull a
This doesn't matter. Snake Eye versus Lab is such an unwinnable
useless
matchup.
duplicate big welcome from his deck.
And
that
it's
his
a
opponent
feature
is
match,
unaware
so
of.
the
And
judges
Nibiru
are
in hand.
specifically going
Zhou
to
has the
make sure that
opportunity
Lab
to
doesn't
use
win.
backjack to bait Appaloosa and then activate Nibiru as Chainlink 3, very similar to how Hansen activated his Nibiru earlier. Deciding to try to use backjack in this way costs Zhou nothing, because just like Hansen, he is quite literally dead if he activates Nibiru before Appaloosa just from the sinful spoils he knows Neal has set. There is no risk to worry about here, because using backjack as a bluff represents the only potential path to victory for Zhou in this game. Riskier bluffs with large rewards become better and better options the farther behind you are in a game, to the point where taking one isn't really a risk at all. But what if you are significantly ahead? In these scenarios, gambling on a play with risk that could lose you your position is not advisable, so there is usually little reason to bluff. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not like poker in this respect, because there is no variable amount of money to be gained from tricking your
Penalty
opponent.
on Lab
You
player
can only
because
win
they
or
took
lose,
too
so when
long
you are in a
to
very
game.
good position, you should be
True.
primarily concerned with maintaining.
you
it.
thought?
By that logic, if you are significantly behind, it is often better to assume your opponent is not bluffing in these scenarios, because there is not really a need for them to put themselves at risk when they have a way to win anyways. On the flip side though, if you're significantly ahead, it's often better to call someone's bluff. If you're a Neal here playing Snake Eye into the theoretical bluff, you might question the reason for Zhou not using backjack before Appaloosa gets made. You would be right to do so, since it opens you up to losing to cards like Nibiru and Ghost Ogre. This can get pretty complicated when applied to real games, so it's worth noting that every situation is unique. There's no one-size-fits-all theory for when it comes to calling potential bluffs. With our newfound knowledge, let's take a look at one of the most famous bluffs of all time, the finals of YCS Pasadena in 2022. This match is exceptional, with tons of back and forth, passion, and excitement between Hani Jawari and Jesse Cotton. Most importantly though,
I'm sorry, I am a big Hani hater. Not a fan of him. I hated this win. This win hurt.
this
That's
match
all
is
things
awesome
coming
because it's a
from
tier
that.
mirror. Being a tier mirror, the situation the players find themselves in is pretty complicated, so I'll only be covering a few ideas around it. You can find Jesse's video on it linked in the description if you're part of the 99.9% he's referring to in this message to me and want a more in-depth breakdown.
Personally, not interested in talking about it more. I've talked about it to death, and 99% of people don't even understand what's going on. But here's a highlight from that stream.
The stakes of this game were high. Hani was looking for his first YCS win as a solo player, and Jesse had taken 4th place and 2nd place finishes with tier elements at the last 2 YCSs he attended, and sought to seal the deal. Both players take a game off of each other, bringing them into a game.
Dude,
3.
those deck lists,
Hani goes first, and rolls a lot of
prior
cards
to
off
the
of the normal
Ishizu cards
summon
were
Diviner
so
to
sick,
send to
dude.
Guido.
They were
Both
so
players
cool.
hit copies of Keldo and Medora, Injin, and Jesse searches a copy of tier elements Crime off of Scream. After a couple of chains, Jesse is able to disrupt his opponent by making a Kaleido Heart to shuffle back Hani's Kick Kalos. Hani in turn is able to slap together an Abyss Dweller and seizes board control by using triple tactic talents to steal Jesse's Muddragon, which he uses to make a Baronne de Fleur to destroy the Kaleido Heart. 7 of the cards mentioned so far are now on the Forbidden and Limited list. Jesse is locked from using his grave and spends his next couple of turns baiting out the Baronne Negate, developing a Shuffler,
tier was so stupid.
Hani shovels it back and remakes it, searching a Soliak in the process. Jesse is able to cling to life by forcing Hani to waste his battle phase to out Crime turn 2 and a Shuffler turn 4, and he is then able to use a Bystial to finally attempt to win back board control from Hani. Jesse's attack here puts the players in this very interesting position. The threat of the still unused Crime with Merly on the field looms over Hani, cutting him off of many potential lines. If Hani lets the attack go through, he will lose his Rhino Heart, so he opts to use it to bluff. By flipping Soliak, Hani threatens to send Rhino Heart to grave and use its grave effect, requiring a discard of a Tearlaments card in his hand. This could get his engine going and put him in the driver's seat for the rest of the match. But Hani doesn't have a Tearlaments card in his hand. His only card is a Magnemite. Jesse neglects to call the bluff, negating the Soliak with his copy of Crime, which leads to him losing the game to Hani's Bystial.
Yes, this game was lost to the Bystial and not the Dweller that hit the field 2 times and activated for the course of 4 turns to prevent Jesse from doing fucking anything. This game was not won off of the back of a Magnemite in hand, because genuinely speaking, the Soliak negate is still correct. Even if they don't have a Bystial in hand, removing Soliak from the field also turns off potential Tearlament normal summons in the future. If you're not going to be able to kill that turn, that is absolutely the correct thing to hit anyway. I get, like, the idea behind the bluff, but I have never heard of this bluff. Most of the bluff examples involve Magnemite? Yes. It's like, Magnemite's stupid. I understand the idea, and I don't necessarily disagree, because yes, the Magnemite ended up, like, really coming in clutch. But that being said, the Dweller was infinitely more important through the course of that game. And the Crime negating the Soliak is still maybe not the correct play, but even with that being said, like, if you go Soliak effect and you negate and you just send the Rhino Heart on the follow-up, you could also potentially have, like, a normal summon of a Tearlament monster, and then that also keeps the Soliak live, and being able to remove the Soliak is still an insane advantage. So for the most part, I don't necessarily disagree with that choice, even if you know that the Bystial Magnemite is in hand. I don't know.
That's it. Ruby summon, through his word, affects it, and Hani just gets caught and wipes it as a Kena champion.
When this game aired, and in some of the subsequent live streams and videos that covered it, certain critics casted Jesse's decision to negate Soliak as a mistake, him not recognizing Hani's bluff for what it is. In reality, though, it's not so simple. For starters, there are only a couple of cards that Hani could have in hand that could even make sense here. Scream, Rhino, Merly, and Havness would probably have been used differently. You might even ask why Hani needs to bait out Crime with a bluff in the first place. Because Crime requires a tier monster on the field to be used, it's a very fragile disruption here. If Jesse makes any sort of link play to get his engine rolling, Merly is gone and Crime turns off. If Hani has a monster with a moderate amount of attack on board, like the Abyss Dweller he has already, he can attack over Merly and Crime turns off.
So I think he assumes the card in my hand is not doing anything. So if he just does nothing here, and I kill his Rhino Heart, and I have Merly Sarnier in the field, if I pass back, he just goes draw, Dweller attack Merly, reveal Magnemite, make a Charmer of his own, search another Bystial in the end phase as well, and I don't have a Shuffler in my grave anymore because it's in my hand still, the Keldo, and it's just way worse. And I no longer have follow up now because my one tier in play, my level 2 is gone.
Hani doesn't need to bluff here because Jesse's position is honestly horrible, and Hani can get himself into an advantageous position without any gambling. By bluffing with Soliak, Hani opens himself up to an unneeded chance to lose if Jesse lets the Soliak go through and redeclares his attack to destroy Abyss Dweller. Jesse accepts the bluff not necessarily because Hani's story is convincing, but because he sees how little value Crime has in the current position. Getting his Shuffler into the graveyard and getting rid of Soliak could help him in the top decking war in a way Crime just won't.
This was a terrible bluff from Hani, and I hate that he won because of it. Bamboozles with hidden info is part of why I love Yu-Gi-Oh! True.
It's a judgment made to maximize value and give himself the best odds of winning based on the information he has available to him, so calling it a mistake is a little short-sighted. There are many scenarios where bluffing isn't a good idea, and if Jesse had come to a different conclusion here, Hani had the chance of losing a game that was pretty close to locked up. As the juices of potential bluffs ferment in the minds of all of you who have made it this far, I wanted to finish this essay going over some of the rules around bluffing. I have no doubt my audience is composed of strong and experienced players, so I'm sure you've taken the time to read Yu-Gi-Oh's tournament policy documents at some point. But on the off chance you need a refresher, I'll go over a few key lines in the misrepresenting the game state section, and list a corresponding bluff or trick that is made illegal with them. You'll find that many of these rules do not look favorably on intentional bluffs that take place outside the confines of the game.
Skip your next standby phase.
Which is a reason why I've not opted to go over stuff like tells, reads, and ways to get information outside of the game in this video. With that in mind, let's take a look at our first rule.
Duelists may not perform actions that would intentionally mislead their opponent or a tournament official about the game state.
Some of you might remember the controversy around Andre Torres getting suspended for intentionally attempting to mislead his opponents through the use of a Sword Soul token.
I hate this. I hate this. I hate this so much. There's no world in which he should have gotten banned for the use of a token on the top of his deck / extra deck. Konami's so... It's fine. It's fine.
Just some tokens.
I love
some tokens.
Konami's great. They've done
Sword Soul.
wrong.
Anyone can use Sword Soul tokens at a tournament. This is illegal because of Andre's intent to deceive. Proving intent can turn your area very gray very quickly, so you should be careful about making comments about ways you chose to influence your opponent outside the game. Let's take a look at another line.
Duelists may not answer questions or offer information about game state information that is considered private knowledge.
This prevents one of the most basic bluffs you can make outside the game, just telling your opponent you have a given card. Even if it was legal, I don't quickly, so you should be careful about making comments about ways you chose to influence your opponent outside the game. Let's take a look at another line.
Duelists may not answer questions or offer information about game state information that is
This is why I hate this game. Here's the thing. Technically speaking, you should not be able to ask what the opponent searched, because it has gone to a hidden information zone. So technically speaking, according to these rules, you also can't ask what a person has searched, and you just have to remember it. But due to the fact that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a game for children, having to remember 10,000 things that have happened in a turn is unreasonable. So asking the opponent, what did you search, should be reasonable. That being said, I've never seen a judge call someone out on the fact that, like, hey, that's private knowledge. You can't ask them what they searched, because that's now private knowledge. So Konami, technically speaking, it is public information in the search, which is why this is such a shit rule. I get the idea is like, oh, you can't ask them, like, do you have a Mirror Force set? But, like, come on. You can go back in the log in Master Duel so I don't see the deal. Exactly, like, no judge has ever called that. But the problem is, like, technically speaking, you're not supposed to ask questions about what the opponent has searched. Because technically speaking, that now goes to a hidden information zone, and you're not supposed to know that information. Or, like, you just have to remember it. But again, no judge has ever been like, you can't do that. Because technically it is public information. Technically it is something that you can technically ask about. Which is why, like, asking, like, oh, what have you summoned this game? Or, like, oh, I'm sorry, what did you activate? What was this effect? What did this guy do? That's why you can ask that information. You're like, what did you shuffle back? It's why this policy is so frustrating. Because Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a game that is played at light speed, and having to remember all of that information so quickly is basically impossible, and you have to ask questions, but the game states you can't fucking ask questions, and it's so unreasonable. And there are so many rules that are like this, like fucking slow play and sharking and all of that stuff that is in the rules policy document that frustrates me to no end. There's so many things where it's just like, if a judge was here, they would be like, yeah, so technically you can't do this. And technically you can. And it's so irritating. In Magic, if you just seek cards, not tutor it, you don't have to show it to your opponent. That is true. Pokemon is also like that. Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't do that. Yu-Gi-Oh! You always have to show, which is very interesting. But yeah, it's... Once they shuffle out their hand, it's gone, but it's still known. Yep. But the thing is, you can't. Technically speaking, again, according to the actual text right here, technically speaking, you can't ask about that information because it is hidden information. It is a private knowledge information zone. Right? So technically speaking, as soon as they take a game action, activating a card, setting a card, doing anything else, that information is no longer available to you. If you were to ask like immediately after, yes, you can do that. But like as soon as they do anything, technically that is against the terms or the rules, right? That is against the rules stated in the TCG. Which is why it's so frustrating. But again, no judge has ever called that because it's silly. It's ridiculous to think about. It's ridiculous to be like, oh yeah, by the way, I searched this card like 2 actions ago. You can ask what they search, but you can't make them show you the copy in your hand. Yeah, well, that's what most judges assume this to be, but that's not what's written. What's written is, duelists may not answer questions or offer information about game state information that is considered private knowledge. Your hand is considered private knowledge. Your deck, your extra deck, is considered private knowledge. Your set cards are considered private knowledge. By the stated rules that are written in the texts, that's what I'm arguing, or talking about. Again, no judge has ever argued otherwise, because it doesn't make sense. But the rules stated make it so gray that it's hard to state anything in terms of game information and to properly ask questions about what has actually happened. That's why Kaiba said, screw the rules, I have money. That is true. Just screw the rules, doesn't matter, I'll just make the tournament myself. Anyway, that's all. Anyway, beside the point. Basically, you can't, misrepresent game state, even though people do it all the time, because it's so difficult to remember everything that's happened and to remember all of the individual rulings. And when a judge also doesn't catch it, and then you mess up, and then you get a warning or a game loss because of your mess up that you've happened to do twice, because a judge now happens to be. Anyway, it's all that. I hate it.
Considered private knowledge.
This prevents one of the most basic bluffs you can make outside the game, just telling your opponent you have a given card. Even if it was legal, I don't think it's generally good to make these kinds of bluffs against experienced players in the first place. If anything, tricks like these are a sign of weakness. If you actually had an impactful card, it would make sense to try and hide it the way that Hansen does against Shorai, instead of forcing your opponent to take it into account. Now, another rule.
Duelists may not make false statements about the game or gameplay, even about information that is considered private knowledge.
This rule encompasses a number of ways you could lie and bluff, but one of them is telling your opponent you have lethal when you don't in order to get them to scoop. Don't do this. Even when Oscar posted this, it was illegal, and the rule is much less lenient about intent here should a judge be called over. Let's take a look at our last one.
Duelists may not make deceptive offers to or agreements with their opponents.
Well, this is probably getting pretty far.
Do you want to split the prize money? Yeah. Except for there's no prize money and you've been tricked.
From a bluff at this point. A classic example of this that took place in the ancient year of 2015 would be Jin Gate. Hoban making an agreement with his opponent to side out the hated Jin releaser of rituals during an ARG in Necros format, only to side in a second copy. While this agreement was maybe true to the letter of what he said, this is obviously intentional deception, and not allowed in Konami-sanctioned events. As you learn more and more techniques to help sell your bluffs, and there are many that I did not cover, make sure to verify whether or not what you are doing is allowed. In my opinion, two of the most important parts of competing are your sportsmanship as a competitor and your adherence to the game's rules. Once you stray beyond that, you undermine the important infrastructure that allows card games to be fun and competitive. With that, I am out of characters, so I guess this is the end. This has been my longest video so far, and I think it's...
Here's what I will say. Bluffing is illegal in Yu-Gi-Oh! So don't do it. Those are my thoughts. Konami says you're not allowed to bluff, so don't bluff. Stop doing it. It's not allowed. You silly goober. Anyway, that's all. It's dumb. It's silly. That's all. This reminds me very similarly to the Pot of Greed guy, who's like, Pot of Greed should come back. It's like that video was a struggle to watch. This one was also, but less so because I think bluffing is bad, and more so just because those rules documents make me so angry. They make me so angry. Konami, when I use my brain, not allowed. Not allowed. Should we play Crystron? We can play Lab. Lab sucks ass. We can play Fire King. We can play, you know what? Let's play Crystron. Let's play Cry About It. And we'll cry about the fact that Konami is a monster when it comes to making rules. Dude, so I shouldn't laugh, but it's... Dude, imagine being a judge for Konami. Like, how are you ever supposed to get a call right? What a hand. Play Magic E Fiendsmith? Trust? True. Also, one of the things that I think is interesting about Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel is that there's a lot of, like, fake bluffs. That just, like, don't do anything. Maxi. Ah, Fua. Now, Maxi. Oh, I was genuinely expecting a Maxi there. No Bestial PogChamp? Am I getting drolled? Nope. Cool. Solfafnir. Cool. Good game. What a crazy game. Just win the coin flip, Forehead. It's that simple, Forehead. Magic E Fiendsmith was fun. Rip Transferal Mine, sacrifice to craft my Teller Knights. I simply draw hand traps. Well, I technically did. We'll see if they're any use against Blue Eyes. Probably not, right? Normal summon Primite. Oh! Frustrating. 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 Yup. Yup. Pitching a Veiler. That's an interesting choice. Roar. Sage. Yep. You aren't seeing the vision. True. Sure. Teller Knight Ryzeal is tier 1. Truz. True. True. Synchro Shogun. What are we ending on here? That's my question. Oh? How interesting. Do I care? Yes, I do. Cold Mine? Surprising. So now they have Veiler. They get access to the targeting effect and negation. Which means that this Infib kind of doesn't do anything. Oh, they elected not to do that. Never mind, they goofed. Never mind, they goofed. Uh-huh. Well, that's not a bad draw. I would imagine they have Drill Beam. Yep. Damn. Frustrating. I think I lose this. Is there a world in which I don't? If they don't negate with Drill Beam on the Sengagen? If it's not Drill Beam specifically, I think we're fine. And it's Drill Beam specifically. Yeah. No, I just lose. They always have Drill Beam. There is nothing I could do there. Did he search the Majesty? Nope. No, why would he? You thought he searched any of those cards? And he didn't just hard to draw them? With every single other card in his hand? No, of course. Of course he just drew them. Great game. I love playing against Blue Eyes, just drawing literally every single brick that actually just ends up making it impossible to beat them. 10 out of 10. Can we just ban Drill Beam? Like, that's the only card I actually care about. Drill Beam is the one card where I'm like, that one's gotta go. Like, I could beat pretty much everything else except for Drill Beam there. I had the ability to interact with everything else there. I could play that game. And then Konami said, we don't like you. So your opponent's gonna get Drill Beam. Oh, you pisser. I just lose here, don't I? If I go Golem, I can't really do anything except for make SP. Yeah, we'll just pass. Nib, Purge, Ash, Sage, Fishes. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, that sounds about right. Also, why would they not have drawn Keshira Fenris? I fucking love Fenris, dude. Fenris is so cool. Ready, triple attack. Go. Millennium. Sure. Uh-huh. Thinking here. I think I do Ash this. We haven't normaled. Diablel Star. Pitching Snake Eye Ash, we elected not to normal summon it, so I'm guessing we have access to... Poplar? Oak. Oak makes sense. Hilarious draw. Add the fire. Yup, yup, yup. Add Poplar. Sure, sure. Poplar. And that's 5, baby. Add a spell trap. That's cool. Are they playing like... What a good game. I love the Roach. The Roach is so sick, dude. Primite does not die with the Drill Beam being banned, but I no longer have to contest it multiple times over the course of a game in a deck that already has a fairly decent end board without Drill Beam. I just don't see a world in which there is a reason to play or to have access to Drill Beam on top of anything else. Soulfafnir. I think if, like, Primite is the engine that you're playing, and is, like, the only engine you're playing, I think there's a reasonable argument to be like, yeah, Drill Beam's fine. But literally, the fact that it is splashable and designed to be splashable, specifically also with Blue Eyes, makes me go, no. No. I disagree. I think it's not fine anymore. I think it could go kick rocks. Clear. We've already normaled. Let's go for our Fist Burn. Hua. That's Sulfador. And then we'll go for Inclusion. We'll summon the Sulfenir. We'll go for this guy. If only I didn't have Citri in hand, this would be a bit nicer. I guess I could pitch Citri instead of pitching Smyger. That's what I should have done. Hindsight. Hindsight's 2020. Rip. Add cluster. I could go Inclusion. Go Sulfador. I could go Sam D into Sulfador and Inclusion, and then end on kind of nothing. Okay, yeah. Let's go. Oh, I've already used Inclusion. I'm stupid. Okay, yeah, we'll go Sulfador. No, I didn't. I added it back. I'm just lying to you. We'll go Nova here. The fact that they haven't used anything screams that we're about to be super polyed. I can, like, sense it in my bones. That super poly comes down. But playing Branded? What are you playing Branded for? Alright, set 1, set 2. I don't have access to Citri. Summons from deck. The best that I could do is, like, make Sam B. It's really frustrating. Yeah. Ultimate Slayer, sure. Targeting Infinity. Aggregator. Yeah, targeting Infinity. Yeah, sure, that's fine. Mm-hmm. Yep, I could go Tristaros here. That doesn't do anything. Yeah, that's fine. What am I calling here? Called by. Fuck yeah, dude. Heckin' love losing to, Tenpai. Just drawing every, stupid card in the game. I'm so glad Heavy Storm exists, dude. Yeah, we definitely need more back row removal in this game. Yeah. Okay. Drop it. You get a normal summon of Hydra? Sure. Engage? Sure. So they get to see, what, like, the 6 cards here? That's so sick, dude. I heckin' love this game. Yep. If they don't see a Tenpai card, we live. If they do see a Tenpai card, we lose. It's that simple. They get 2 draws. Want a Gold Sark? What? What do you mean, why not Gold Sark? Widow Anchor. Normal summon Hydra. You have the quick play. Ah, okay. What? There's no shot. Okay, a very playable game is now afoot. Let's start with Sulfenir. Pitching Citry. Sulfenir. Pop Cell. Are they playing Blaster? Blaster's kind of a whiff if you're... Like, it doesn't do anything. It's pretty bad with the Sky Striker cards in particular, unless you were specifically going into Thrust. Yeah, Thrust a 2 of as well. No, they are playing it. No, they're just bad. Yeah, Huh. They're also playing a very small... Yeah, I don't know why they didn't do that. Maybe they were scared of, like, Ash or Valor or something? Maybe? They just wanted the card advantage? Like, to be fair, Engage gets them 4 cards. Right? Engage gets them additional cards. So I'm guessing they were like, oh, I need additional cards to be able to, like, not immediately die to a single hand trap, which does kind of make sense, but you also just have to do the play, right? Yeah, that was just wrong. That was just wrong. That was just wrong. Impulse and Reboot just isn't. I mean, I guess they didn't need to. It's 2 cards to draw into your actual win con. Yeah. I don't disagree. But I get the idea of, like, why they didn't do it. I'm not saying it was correct, I'm just saying I get why. Mexi? Sangijin. Ash. Okay. So they likely have Fua, is my assumption here. If they have Droll, we just kind of have to pass. There's not a lot we can do about that. Should have gone Golem first. Should I have? Well, maybe. Okay. Add the wet goo. Wet goo. Maxi? I would imagine they likely have Imperm here. That's my assumption, that they have the Imperm as well. Which I can't really do anything about. If they have an Imperm, I have to go like SP. And then just like hope and pray that I top deck a guy that's playable. Actually, I don't think I'd go SP. I think I'd just sit on Zombie Vamp and hope that Veiler Ogre gets us there. That's frustrating. Memento is extremely strong right now. Oh, it's Blue Eyes. That makes more sense. Is it Tenpai? Fucking course it's Tenpai. Fuck! It's so much worse! I'm so sick and Do I ogre this? I kind of have to, don't I? And then I ogre the field spell. I Veiler, and then I ogre the field spell. And hope and pray that they don't have, like, Sage. Yeah. It doesn't matter, they have Cold Bite, don't they? Blue Eyes is annoying? No. No. No, it's this. It's Primite. It's Drill Beam specifically. I'm never losing to the Blue Eyes cards. I'm always losing to this stupid-ass Drill Beam that hits the field. Control decks are annoying? No. Drill Beam isn't annoying. The rest of the stuff that Primite does is fine. The rest of the stuff that Blue Eyes does is fine. It's just Drill Beam. It's literally just Drill Beam. That's so endlessly frustrating. That or the fact that they draw like 10 bajillion hand traps and then normal summon Primite Ether Barrel, and I just have to hold that L because there's no world in which I can compete with an Ether Barrel regardless of what's in my hand. What a good game. What a good game, Yu-Gi-Oh! So glad that Blue Eyes just gets to draw everything that they could have ever asked for. It's my favorite, dude. What a shit game. Man, what a good game. You. Yeah, dude, you fucking got it. You're so good. You're so good, dude. Heckin' love this. Fuck this game, dude. Just fucking unplayable garbage. Yeah, dude, this game's over. I'm not even gonna play it. Like, I'm not even gonna play this game. There's no point. Oh, you're telling me you drew Maxi Fubalos, specifically against the hand that didn't draw Ash Blossom or Called By? Great, 10 out of 10. No nuts. Yep, just draw 10,000 cards. Yeah, no, that seems reasonable. Yeah, let me make my half board. Trust, that'll be enough to play against 6 cards in this current metagame. Dude, what a shit game. What a shit game I'm losing to. Just like... And then, of course, it's my D-rank game, because this game is, again, very good. It's a very good game. Like, come on, game. Really? I fucking hate this game with every fiber of my being. This game makes me want to vomit, dude. It's so unbelievably stupid. Droll! Really expected Droll there, I'm not gonna lie. Do we play Baron? Add the wet goo. I can play around Nibiru here by going like this. But this doesn't play around a bunch of other stuff. We hit Smiger. Hell yeah! Ah, how interesting. How very, very interesting. We also have a Sekka's Light Engrave. That's not great. Called by does help here, quite drastically though. I want to send Sulfenir, but that doesn't really make sense. So it's Cluster, I know that. I think it's Thistburn. Oh, except I lied. I was supposed to send Thistburn and Sulfenir. And go from there. Yeah, that was a bit of a goof. No, it wasn't. I lied. No, I got this. Grab this guy. Should I have added Sulfenir? Should I have added something else? No, I think that's correct. Add Cluster. Tristaros. Summon Citri, summon Tristaros? And then just pass on that. If I summon Sulfador here, we can make the 5. How good is Cluster against this deck? As opposed to an extra Omni Negate. I think Clusters are arguably better. Yeah. But Called By also stops normal summon Neptibus. So there's that. Bar on the floor. You just kind of immediately go Sekka's Light, huh? So I know they basically have Called By that I can negate with Dragster and or a Sekka's Light. That's pretty much it, right? Yeah. Frick. Honestly, I think I do do Baron negate this? Yeah, I think I do. I think they have Called By in hand. Atlantean, sure. Special, Neptibus. Neptibus. Cluster. Cluster effect. Targeting Neptibus. Okay, I'm on the wrong one, you. Put back the Fist Burn. Pop Neptibus. Minstrel. Sending Abyss Pike. No, that's Abyss Rhine. Tribute, add an Atlantean or Mermail. Take a level 7. Oh, tribute discard and to take a level 7 from your deck and either add it to your hand or special summon it. Yeah, that's fine. Yep. All three big fish wearing Grave. Because they milled 2 and then I negated the other one with Baron. Or I milled 2 with Zombie Vamp. No Coelacanth? Oh, they could have gone Coelacanth, yeah. But it depends on if they're playing that, which not everyone is. I have 2 options here. I think I actually only have 1 option. I'm lying to you. It is normal summon Smiter. 10 out of 10. Love this game. Great game. Great game. Great game. Great game. 10 out of 10. Nuts. Sick. I don't even run Coelacanth. Yeah, that's because it's bad. No, it's actually pretty good because it allows you to play around Droll more effectively. I think realistically you should be playing it, but I get why we don't. I get why we don't. This is a hand that does exist. That's true. That's true. Hadn't thought about that. Wedgoo. Place. Place. Okay. Ice Shade Atlantean? Oh. Well, yeah, in 60-card version of Mermail, you probably would play it. Cool games, just great games. I just love winning the coin flip and then immediately winning the game. That's my favorite. Bro's name is just GG. Man, I hate GG. Of course I lose that coin flip. Why would I not lose that coin flip? And now I'm going to lose 6 games in a row because this game is bad. True, I hadn't thought about that. Hadn't thought about how bad this game is. At least I have a good hand. Yep. Yep. Tracked! Sure. Tracked. So, because I know how this game goes, you have specifically Called By. Never mind. I hate this game. I hate this game so much, dude. Really? Those are the 5 games that get me into Master 1? Fuck you, game. I want to have fun. I don't want to just win. Taking this box outside. Chat, we did it. I can play raiding duels. Dude, first of all, this never happens. I never get it on my first try. I always have to like go down to Master 2 and then go back up to go down to Master 3 and then go back up to Master 2 and then go all the way down to like Master 7 and then go back to Master 2 and then, you know, waddle around in Master 2 and then eventually I get there. That's always how this works. But apparently, these These games were so dumb. Dude, look at this. Game 1 against Blitz. Let's rewatch this because it was truly incredible. Wow, what a fun game. What a fun game. It's the fact that it was all back-to-back. It's the fact that it was every game back-to-back. So game 1, I go first. Cool. Fantastic. Not an insane hand, but a fairly decent hand, all things considered. Activate the Foolish Burial, immediate surrender. Whoop! 10 out of 10. We're simply just better at the minigame, apparently. Apparently. Game 2 actually had gameplay. Game 2 actually had gameplay. Isn't that crazy? Wait, we actually played a game for longer than a turn? What? That's correct. That's crazy. This hand, by the way, stupid. I hate this hand. This hand's nutty. I hate it here. Any hand, to be fair, any hand that has full combo and called by is a stupid hand that I despise with every fiber of my being. Called by is like everything I hate about this game. Anyway, I gotta make Baron here. Isn't that so fun? Isn't Baron so cool? But don't worry, it gets better because we get to make Zombie Vamp, which then mills specifically the Poseidra twice, which matters so much. I did hit a Sekka's Light, which is very funny, but I did hit both Poseidras. Incredible. Anyway, we do the rest of this combo. I think I goof with this Fistburn ad. I think I was supposed to send Sulfador and Fistburn. Or something. No. What I was supposed to do is I was supposed to send Clusters and Sulfador, and then we could have gone for this, and then go like add a guy, and then go Sulfaneer, and then like pop, and then search, and then I could have done a lot more there. I goofed there. This was a goof. I could have done more. I could have ended on an additional Omni Negate on top of everything else, which is kind of stupid. Also, this is dumb. Why the frick did I make FA Dawn Dragster? That's just like bad. This card, like, doesn't do anything. I don't know why. Like, the only thing it can negate is Sekka's Light, and I just, like, don't. I'm like, okay, sure. I don't know. This was dumb. Didn't matter. I negate here. Cool. They do the thing. I immediately pop the Naft Abyss. Cool. They discard. Special. And then they scoop. Woo! Yeah! Because they realized that their Poseidra was not, in fact, in the deck. Because I milled 2 of them. Great. That was the only game that actually had technically gameplay that you could consider. Every other game just makes me so angry. Because it was either I maxi the opponent, or I get to go first and just do the full combo. Also with maxi. This one was my least favorite game. That was it. I didn't even put the monster on field. It just, that's it. That's Smiger. You got it! Ah! If you don't mill Poseidra, it was still a game to be played. Absolutely. If I don't mill literally both Poseidras, that game still has legs. I still probably win due to the called by that I have set, but that game is still like a game. But because I milled both Poseidras and they drew the other one that I negated off of the Baron, which is why I negated it. Like, that game's Anyway, we go first again. Hip Hip Hooray. I believe this one, I activate Wedgoo Temple and put Smiger into the back row, and then the opponent leaves. Yep. It's always Smiger. It is always Smiger. And then this one, we all know and love. It's Activate the Roach. It's amazing how many non-games this game has. Well, okay, to be fair, that's not the case. Yesterday, we had a ton of really good games. We just happened to hit a streak of back-to-back terrible, no good, very bad games. Must be MBT viewers. They fear the Smiger. Honestly, understandable. I'm not gonna lie. Playing this deck, one of the scariest things... Even though I've never, ever, once in my life said Smiger incorrectly, or thought about it, or like thought about saying it incorrectly, I still fear it. I still fear that I'm gonna say it wrong just by accident. And then, of course, La Cucaracha just wins me the game. What a good game. What a good game. Yeah, Fiendsmith Bestial definitely provides more games. Honestly, like, Snake Eye had provided a lot of games for me as well. This was just, like, this was just such a... What is this? 5, 6, 7, 8... 8-3 in 11 games. We win 8-3. 5 of those were all in a row, all literally non-games. Do you know what's hilarious? Technically speaking, I could post all 5 of these games in a row on the Win Streak channel in the Master Duel Meta Discord, and it would count. And it would count. Even though none of these games actually had gameplay, besides maybe the second one. And on top of that, I could throw this into the Master 1 deck lists. All the damn Merlantians are named the same, except like 3 letters. The chick decked out in gold, who's a quick engrave. Wait, what? I want VS so bad right now. Trip. It's real. But yeah, we had a lot of games to play, like, with Snake Eye. Most of our games felt, like, very playable when we played Snake Eye. What is it about Crystron that people are just like, I don't want to sit through this? But they'll sit through, like, Snake Eye combos. The amount of times people sat through Snake Eye combos... Oh, I know what it is. Oh, I know what it is. I know exactly what it is. People don't know... Or, sorry, people know that Crystron players know how to play Crystron, but so many people have watched a Snake Eye player absolutely bomb their combo and just get totally destroyed by a horrible, no good, very bad setup that they themselves inflicted upon themselves. The amount of times I have literally just watched a Snake Eye player play the game and I'm like, I don't know, I'll sit here, I'll watch. And they just throw it. I don't even do anything. They just, like, throw it. I'm like, alright, I'll catch it. That's fine. It's so funny. That's probably why people stick around for Snake Eye where they don't for Crystron. They're like, you're playing Crystron? You probably know the combo better than me. You got it. But as soon as they see Snake Eye, they're like, blah, blah, blah. They could get this wrong. And then they do. Master tier salesman. True. And yet somehow they're still in Masters. I was playing Master 1 a couple of months ago with Poplar and Diabellstar in hand and with no disruptions. Ended on Hita and SP. No Promethean Engrave. Yeah, that sounds about right. Just back from praying and watch you reach Master 1 once again. I'm sorry, Matt. You're gonna have to give me the phonetical pronunciation of that word. But thank you. I hope your prayer went well, and that it was I don't know, insightful, I guess. But thank you. I appreciate it. Also, if you saw those games, which don't go back and watch them, they were very boring. They were all like one turn. They sucked. It was terrible. Man, those games. Anyway, now what? What if we played more Yu-Gi-Oh? Smile. I hate it here. What do we play? We could buy. Oh, that's what we'll play. Let's play Paleo. Let's play Paleo. I heckin' love Paleo. What if we played Rated? No. Alhamdulillah? Ah. Thank God for the blast. Oh. What language is that? I am very uncultured. That's all I will say. I am still young. I'm still learning. But I appreciate the learning experience. Arabian. Sick. I will say, that does sound awesome. All of, like, not all of them. A lot of, like, Middle Eastern and, like, Southeast Asian countries have some of the coolest sounding languages. Like, people talk all about, like, French and how cool the French accent is and all of that stuff. French sucks. I hate French. I hate listening to French. It bothers me so much. As someone who has learned Spanish, I cannot understand. I cannot stand French. People love French. Hate it. Any, like, Indian, Middle Eastern, like Arabian or, like, Egyptian or, Indian or like, Indonesian or something like that. Oh! Give it to me all day. Thai. Oh! So good. I don't know why. I just really enjoy those languages. They're very, like, phonetical, and it makes my brain happy. What about Greek? I haven't heard enough Greek to really be like, yes. I hear it so rarely. Like, I know Italian. Italian's, like, whatever to me. But I don't know much about Greek. You have a very multicultural chat? That is because of when I stream. It's a very weird time to stream. Call me if you plan to learn Indonesian. I don't plan to learn any language. I'm shit at learning a language. Here's the thing. I practiced for 4 years to learn Spanish, and then I went to Argentina for 6 months. I don't remember nothing. I barely remember how to say, like, my own name. I am so bad at learning a language. It just, like, it's not something that clicks in my brain. I find it so fascinating to listen and to, like, learn about languages, but actually trying to learn the grammatics of a language or, like, the different intonations and, like, how to, like, specifically say things and, like, the phrasing of different stuff. Like, it doesn't work. The synapses don't click. They're like, yeah. Yairo? Ziki? What? Yeah, the gyros. I know gyros. French is a pretty language? No, it's not. I hate French. Me and my homies hate French. I'm just kidding. French is fine. Did I? No, I didn't. Is there anything we want to change with this deck? What is... Has Joshua Schmidt played... Oh, I opened the wrong thing. Has Joshua Schmidt played this deck recently that I can look at and be like... In French, is the table he or she? Yes. Yes. The last one I see is... Oh, Paleoprimite! No. I don't know how I feel about Paleoprimite. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, horse whispering in French would be listed out as he who talks to horses. Yeah, that sounds about right. Being annoyed with French is the reasonable reaction. Everything I have learned about French makes me hate it more. It's like the same thing with, like, Shadowverse. Gotta take this back to Shadowverse. Everything, like, the more that I have learned about French, the more I have hated it. I immediately hated it once I started learning Spanish and was like, why does French do this? And then the more I've learned about French, I'm just like, why do they do this? I play with the Japanese voices in Shadowverse for a reason. Cockney! They're Cockney! No! Why are they Cockney? Joshua Schmidt rage quitting Master Duel. Same, dude. Where's the paleo stream? Where's the paleo stream? Paleo. Who's a Yu-Gi-Oh discussion? Whoa. Just this? Paleo gaming?
Unreasonably.
Is this the Primate engine?
Could be one of.
You're so loud. Shut up, dude.
Yeah.
Am I just getting absolutely owned by... Did Joshua Schmidt not play it? What is this Paleo Primate? I want to see this Paleo Primate. No, he did play it. I'm going crazy. What's happening? Why is it...
Here's what I'm thinking, right? If I use either barrel here to go into the graveyard, and then a Paleo is on my field, it will add itself back to the hand, right?
No! I don't know.
Which seems like my best bet at getting it back. I know it's not going to send a vanilla here because it was imperm, but like... I really need it back next turn, so if I can manage... I have 3 Paleos, surely one of them will survive. It just depends on whether Olinoids is good against them. Like, if it's Blue Eyes, for example, Olinoids is very good against it. Yeah, okay, that's nice. 2 Wishes is fine.
Paleo treated as a normal monster? I believe so, yes. That apply effect. Wait, Paleos are crazy against this deck, Smile.
Roar guarantees them some sort of play.
Or more specifically, this. Here's the thing. The French accent is something different from what I'm talking about when it comes to French. French accents also sound terrible, but that's my own personal opinion, and I think you can honestly say that, like, they sound fine. But the French language makes me so angry, so viscerally angry, because there are so many decisions that were made to the French language in, like, grammatics and in, like, individual choices for like the way that things are referred to and like talked about that just make it needlessly complex for no fucking reason. It's like the same base as Latin, and Latin is a great language, and yet, dude, French just makes me so angry because they just do the dumbest things all the time. You're like, why? Why is Shadowverse bugging out and not letting me mulligan? Because it's a new game. Making millions of dollars.
They did not activate Maiden.
They can't activate Maiden. They can't activate Maiden there. There is a card on field that says
they cannot.
Why not?
Oh, because they kept the link. Okay, I was confused for a second. Oh, yeah.
Dude, I remember playing Blue Eyes at locals and going, oh, I'm going to do this thing. And then being like, oh, shit, I can't do that. Because I had the link 1 on field and I was like, oh, right, this has like text.
Yeah. Okay.
French vocal alphabets itch my brain.
Wait. Unaffected by trap cards.
It's the same brick hand.
That's unaffected by their own true light. I can't let them do that.
Yeah, let's go. True light. Beep up.
If they summon Tyrant Dragon, it's Jover.
Majesty. Understandable. Nuke the field. Away it goes.
Okay, still not too bad.
Uh-huh. I'd imagine we snipe the Majesty, right? Like, that's the one we care about the most here.
Get that out of here. You my
Chain
paleo.
Paleo. Chain Paleo!
Why are you on Linkaribo? Oh, that's because Backjack was in the deck before. I just changed one of my older lists. Oh yeah, good call. We can just cut the Linkaribo.
Strongest Blue Eyes end board after
Yeah, they have
one
Ash, fine,
interruption.
whatever, dude.
True.
Come on.
Increased odds to draw worse off a mulligan. Dude, I remember
if I go
shuffling
Ether
back my
Barrel-
entire hand and then being like, well, I just drew worse. My whole hand was
they have
unplayable,
Imperm.
and somehow I drew
I
worse.
still get a Paleo
Let's
back,
go.
so that's no good for them. I think it's okay.
They saw you weren't a gooner and
This
decided
is
to punish
very
you.
bad into the Peg Baylor.
True. That's probably what it is.
But
You're
Imperm's
right.
bad against it. So.
Infib.
Why game bug? Okay, they have the field spell in.
My brother and Christmas. Where is the video for the freaking? I hate it here. I just want I just want my paleos. I just want my paleos. My viewers force me to play paleo in Fiendsmith format. I don't think that's the one. Maybe. Maybe. I always forget the bolt effect can't be activated at the same turn in paper. Drip. I just want to see the deck list. Give me the VODs. Give me the VODs. The VOD for that is ancient? What do you consider ancient? Like a month ago? Like 2 months ago? Like a year ago? Because that video was like a month old. So I'm wondering how old the VOD is. Is it 2 months old? Is it 3 months old? Is it a month old? Was that like recently after the VOD? This one? I just want to see the deck list. I need sleep. Good night, Jam.
Before we hop into the deck builder, let's check out this duel trial real quick so we can get an idea. There's no Nibiru in these.
No.
Or two playing in the T.
Is he playing Memento? He's playing Centurion. Yeah.
Also still.
Why would you play Centurion? Who the hell plays Centurion? Okay, now he's playing Primate Fiendsmith. Okay, well, that's not it. That ain't it, chat.
Fun in rated duels with a lot of based decks. So I put basically only decks in here that I really liked and that I enjoyed. Ether Barrel would be pretty good here. I guess I can.
What in the hell is this?
By the way, in this deck was apparently that.
Bro, what in the hold on? What in the flying fuck is this deck list?
And so I decided to take it. It was something
Hey,
that we got very excited about watching in one of my. I think it was the second last meet. Well, like Imperm and Dominus Purge.
What is this? What's up, Grunty? How's it going? Once per turn, only once that turn, was a line that challenged my full reading comprehension back in school. True. It's a swordcraft mirror, and every game rigs mirrors against me. Good luck. Pray. Prage. Is this the VOD? This seems like the VOD. Vanquish Soul is cool. What are we playing? Oh, Blue Eyes. Never mind. Cringe. Fish! Other than me getting obliterated by Cyber Dragon, I'm almost fine. Congratulations? I'm sorry for your loss? That sounds really frustrating. Imagine losing to Sidra. Just a bad deck builder. Welcome to the club. Okay, I found it! I found it! Oh, we did it.
Should we play Soldier Dragons for the seals? Oh, wait. We can bring Soldier Dragons out of the seals if we start with Primite into seal. Okay, yeah, no, okay, we're doing that. It also special summons the normal monster. If we draw Drill Beam but no Primite cards,
it specials the normal.
Okay, yeah. We're doing that. We're doing that. Perfection. 59 for
59 for consistency. Let's go. All right. We have the deck list, chat. We have the deck list. Let's go. Okay. Are we playing Hyperia? We removed Hyperia. Chat, I don't know how I feel about this. Hyperia is one of my favorite cards of all time, and the fact that we're not playing it makes me sad, people. Granted, we're also not playing Gigantes, so it does make a bit more sense. But that being said, I can still be upset about it. Okay. We're cutting this guy. Are we playing Reasoning? The answer to that question is no. We're just playing Primite spells. Primite. 3 of you, 3 of you, 3 of you. Are we playing Roar? No. Omega Lol. Why would we? True. I hadn't thought about that. Cutting this guy. We're also playing this guy? Imperial Dargon? Nah. What's up, Yu-Gi-Oh? Or, what's up, Yu-Gi-Oh player? What should I call you? Should I call you 2006? That wouldn't make sense. But it'd be funny. True. Wait, are we also playing the... Oh, we are. We're also playing Howl. Also, Joshua Schmidt, please clean your cards. They're nasty. We're still playing Grass. We're not playing Time Tearing. Which I guess... Why are we not playing Time Tearing? Time Tearing seems pretty good here. Call him Yugs. Oh, Yugs. Yugs also works. You're right. Yami? Alright. I will call you Yami. I will try to remember that. For the big Primite. Oh, the big Primite activates in hand. You're right. Please no Yugs? Okay, I won't. I will call you Yami. Oh, of course we're playing the Magnum. Magnum Hut. And then threatening that guy. Balance of Judgment. I hate Balance of Judgment. Balance. Playing 2 of this? But of course. None of you. 3 of you, 3 of you, 3 of you, 3 of you, 3 of you. Duster, Heavy Storm Duster. 3 of you. What am I missing? Oh, what am I missing, chat? Oh, the normal monster, of course. Was that Guard Dragon? Justiciar. Doesn't this have an alt art? I hate Joey. I despise Joey Wheeler. I'm sorry. What am I building? This. What is it? Affectionately called Primite Paleo. AKA Trap Card Turbo. How can I miss what? What did I miss? Huh? Anyway, I guess we don't need the synchro. No, we are playing the synchro. We'll cut that guy. We'll cut Gigantes. I'm not playing 2 Zeuses. You can't make me play 2 Zeuses. I guess we can cut that. I'm not gonna play 2 elves either. We'll play the 3rd Opabinia. Cut this guy. Play Seal. What if I played Seal 2, Electric Boogaloo? Downerd. Downerd? How do you spell Downerd? That's what it is. I knew it was spelled kind of weird. Because, like, you would think that there would be an ED there, but then, no. Play 2 Zeuses? But then I'd have to craft Zeus as well. I only have 1. I don't want to do that. You know what? I'll play the Mary Melfi. Mary. There you go. Is that technically better? No. Is it what we're doing? Yes. It's fine. Don't think about it. 2! Play Melfi. True. Imperial Dragon makes sense here. It's a card you genuinely like having, but the deck of Primite is outperformed by Primite the Engine. That is true. Zeus, like the god. Yeah, I said that. Yeah, Zeus, of course. Yeah, see? Oh, you're saying Zeus, yeah. Okay, that's dumb. I'm sorry. Zeus, yes, I'm aware. Zeus is the ancient Greek god of the sky, thunder, and lightning. And also randomly turning into animals and having mostly incestual sex, but just sex in general as like a random bird. Zeus was weird. Zeus was a weird myth. God. Guy. Character. We'll go with character. Anyway. Let's go! Alright, let's quickly generate cards not owned. Surely this deck's good, right? Joshua Schmidt obviously played it, so therefore it's obviously great. Smile. We all turn into a bird, have sex with a cousin from time to time. That is true. Well, you've never done that? Yeah, you have. Come on. Look, some of the Greek pantheon makes sense. I think Dionysus is one of the most logical mythos and characters in the entirety of the Greek pantheon. That being said, he's still so extremely strange in comparison to basically anything else that has come in, like, character form ever since then. That mythos was... The pantheon, I should say. Not mythos. Pantheon. The pantheon is very... I love this game. Dude, I love Primate. This is 100% the creepy uncle that just happens to be a CEO at Olympus. True. With a lot of pantheons, there's usually a deity that takes up the role of that asshole. Isn't that just the entirety of the Greek pantheon? Like, you could literally say that. You could literally say, ah, yeah, it's that asshole. For pretty much every single one of that entire pantheon, minus maybe, like, 2 of them. Like, what character could you not say that about? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Do we add this guy? Or do we add this guy? Declare a normal monster. General battle damage. Then if you control a monster, you can control someone. Declare a normal monster from deck or grave. During your opponent's turn, you can banish this card. Target a normal monster you control. When you're grave, take control of a monster your opponent controls with the highest attack. What does this guy do? During your main phase, during your opponent's main phase, you can reveal this immediately. Normal summon a Primite monster. Okay. If this card is tribute summoned, negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls, and banish all monsters your opponent controls with the same type or attribute as the normal monster in your grave. So what we do, grab this. This turns on Drill Beam. And then we go Loadly Load. We summon Justiciar. Into Seal. And then we set 3 and pass. I mean, this does very easily telegraph Drill Beam. Hades? No, Hades is definitely that asshole. Brother stole his wife. It's this asshole. Oh, wait, based! Honestly, I do... Do we just bounce this? That's such a weird normal. I don't know how I feel about this. You know what? No, that's fine. Oh, shit. That was exactly what I expected. May I relay to you my unlimited Exodia deck list? It is peak? Sure. Why not? He was loyal to said wife? That does not mean that he was not, nonetheless, that asshole. Hermes is supposed to be the mischievous one, but, like, it's just Poseidon, right? Dude, Poseidon is some of the most wild lore in all of, like, history. Just like, thinking of what Poseidon did, you're just like, I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, he did what? Excuse me? Why? all Exodia pieces? How many copies of the Exodia pieces? Now that's what really matters. Why did I add Ether Barrel? Because what else am I gonna add? True. Hades is the emo god? Yep. 3 Pot of Greed, 3 Graceful. 3 One Day of Peace. Are you playing Last Will? You gotta be playing Last Will. Cool. Normal summon Ether Barrel. 1 of each piece. That makes more sense. What if I just add Drill Beam here? I guess we'll set Howl. Sure. Why not? What can we even do here? Oh, we could go SP Little Knight. Oh, that's something, technically. Do I have anything that I can do here? Maybe I should have normal summon Soldier Dragons. Because I don't have Seal here. Go SP? I like kind of does something. Let's go Loadly Load. Chicken Game, Pseudo Space. Forget the rest. It sounds good thus far. We go SP into Elf. I think we just go Elf here. It's just Shiar. For your opponent who's like, bro, where's Blue Eyes? True. Imagine normal summoning a Primite card and then not playing Blue Eyes. Oh, that's crazy. The problem with that way of thinking, Blaze, is that you're assuming that you will have the choice of what God decides to absolutely fuck you over today. That's the issue. with the same type or attribute as the normal monster in your grave. Ah, I see. That's why we're playing Justiciar. Because it's a dragon, and it's water. Wait, why the fuck is it water? Shouldn't it be light? You know what? Let's do this. Wait, I can bring back Seal! Wait, this is actually very funny. Wait, I bring back Seal here, and then I go Tribute. Oh shit, I lied. Wait, why can't I tribute this guy? Normal monster. It does, that is true, it does say normal monster. I hadn't thought about that. You know, I hadn't thought about that. A water and a dragon. Dude, I played that terribly. Maybe Dark would be better. I think there's not really a good level 2 dragon. Because we definitely want dragon so that we can go into Seal specifically. I also do think I want to play the second Seal as opposed to SP. Actually, probably Mary, right? Is there a better level 2 normal monster dragon that we could use? Normal, 2, and Dargon. We could do Petite, which is a wind. Or we could do Galaxy, which is a light, which also happens to be a tuner. But this is this is a water for this. Wait, but that doesn't make any fucking sense. Yeah, how much does that matter? That literally doesn't matter. Because these can be made with anything. Is there a reason we're specifically playing the water one as opposed to this one? Like, surely we play this one, right? So that we have the access to the Primite cards being better off of, like, Fiendsmith stuff? Yeah, I think Galaxy Serpent is just better, right? As opposed to Justiciar? I guess Justiciar, because you summon it in defense, it has, like, the higher defense. That's the idea. Can't be banished by Bystial? That's also probably a good option. Yeah, to play around Bystials. There's reasons for both. But, like, how often is it gonna matter? I think we just play the Guard Dragon. I think we just play the Guard Dragon. Yeah, Serpent's very good against Fiendsmith with the Dragon. Or with Imperial. But with that being said, it is a one-of. And I think it's way more important to have access to... is it? No, yeah. Yeah, I think we play Galaxy Serpent. I think it just makes sense. I don't see a world in which it's going to matter where we have the higher defense as opposed to having... And, like, not being able to be banished by a Bystial as opposed to having the ability to just absolutely own Fiendsmith via Imperial. That's my thought. What deck, or what card did you want to suggest? Yugi? Or Yami? Sorry. Yeah, it's also a normal tuner, which is why I even considered it. Because it wouldn't change anything to basically have that. Magical Mallet. Trust. Not in this deck. This deck just needs the most amount of cards we can see. So Magical Mallet just being a -1 isn't worth it. You can talk on the main deck tier limits? True. The other reason for the water is that it hits Mermail, and you can hit, like, Dragon off of a few other archetypes. Like, you could hit... You could, like, banish the dragon in, like, Flomberg for Snake Eyes. So, like, there's a few things that you could still hit with Dragon, just in general. But, yeah, I do think that light use is starting to be better. It's a free draw 4. True. I hadn't thought about that. I think it is more flexible for the graveyard effect of the Primate Trap. Technically, 0 attack is optimal for Howl, too. Being able to seal anything off of that effect. Ah, I see, I see. Yeah, what the? I was not prepared. I was not prepared. No. Drew. You ever considered that? You ever considered no? This hand goes crazy, by the way. This hand goes less crazy, by the way. No, I'm just kidding. We go Lordly Load, add what's his bucket, and then go Drill Beam, right? Like, that's obviously what we do. This doesn't play around like Droll, but who the heck cares? Except it does play around Droll. I'm just lying to you. Just blatantly lying to you. To your face. Right. Set the Drill Beam. Combat! Yeah. Bro has 12 cards in his extra. I just noticed that. I don't know what I expected from that, to be fair. Add all of your best cards if your Twitch name is Snowy. Not if your Twitch name is Grunty Boy. Fair. I hadn't thought about that. You know, I hadn't considered that. Man, I hate the Primite engine, dude. I'm so sick of it. Why does Drill Beam exist? My brother in Christmas. Trust, it's true. Again, not in this deck. Not even gonna try. I don't have the luck for that to work. Then they activate Soul Crossing. Again! Ancient Chant 2, Electric Boogaloo. Next ban this Drill Beam to 2, and it will be fixed forever. Trip. Raigeki. Sure. Whee! Whee! And this guy. Muscle Medic. True. That would go crazy. Why are we dropletting this? Yes. Of course. For sure. Of course. Do I just Drill Beam this? It'd be so funny to Drill Beam. No, that's fine. No, that's fine. It's only like 40 cards. What rank is this? Plat. We already got to Master 1. So now we're, now I actively D-ranked myself by losing a bunch of games in a row. That's what happened. And now I'm in Plat. We'll go Morella. Under my Morella. Thank you. I know, I'm so funny. Send rollback. Activate Trap Trick. Chain. Morella. That's the joke, Matt. Is that the limitation to 2 doesn't do anything. Why am I banishing you? Don't think about it. Don't think about it. If you think about it, it might make sense. Polonoids. That one. Get it. Get it. I knew it. I knew it was Soul Crossing. It's always Soul Crossing. Heavy Storm Duster. Whoa. Why does my guy have 25? Why does attack work the way that it does in Yu-Gi-Oh? Why does my guy now have 2500 attack again? He has 0 defense still, but he's got 2500 attack. Why does that work that way? I've had this explained to me so many times, I still don't get it. I still can't make it make sense. I'm so bamboozled. I'm so confuzzled. Beskew me. Let's go like this. The modifier fell off and became the droplet one, which was temporary. Thank you. Now, I have a follow-up question. Why? Why is that the case? Why? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, let's go... Leanne, Colia. Target Olenoids. Jane Olenoids. I think I have lethal here. I love Yu-Gi-Oh! Me too. My brother and Christmas. What the heck? Because it's funny? You know, I hadn't considered that. I hadn't considered because it's funny. What's that? Ow! This is lethal, right? I just assumed it was lethal. I didn't actually do the math. The music kicked in, it's lethal. This is the Yu-Gi-Oh! Rules lawyering of where you can't double dip or ping pong stats back and forth. Okay, then what is pole position FTK slash pseudo FTK? Isn't that exactly what that is? Pole position is a card. That is true. It is a card. Why is it that all of my games today have been terrible? Like, all of these games have just been so bad. What happened? What happened? Why are we like this? Like, all of my rank up games were like this, too. It was goofy. Goofy. There we go. Of course it's in my hand. Why would it not be in my hand? It's fine. I simply draw Drill Beam here. Trust. Oh, are we playing against Branded? Hell yeah, dude. I heckin' love Branded. I'm lying to you. Yay! What do I need to draw here that wins me this game? Drill Beam. Drill Beam wins me the game. True. Except it doesn't, I'm lying to you. But it is pretty good, all things considered. Lordly Load is also very good here. To be fair, the game did not launch with Branded, and I will say, that was the best time in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. We didn't have Branded, and it was peak. And then they released Branded Fusion, and everything went to shit. I got what you meant there. I just wanted to make note. Even though 0, half of 0 is 0, the current applying stat modifier was Droplet. Blaze, what are you talking about? That hurts my brain. Stop. I banned Brand Diffusion with no shame if I were in charge. If you were in charge, Branded Fusion would be making you shit tons of money. So banning it would be highly detrimental to your wallet. So I have a feeling you probably wouldn't ban it. Why am I sitting here? I'm gonna go into like chaos and I'm gonna lose from that, aren't I? Yeah, probably. Wait, why regain? What the fuck? I back branded here. Sure. What? That's it? Doesn't everyone have the deck already? Exhibit A. Set banishment. Yer. For sure, bud. Activate Maxi. Oh, that ain't it, Chief. Please make lad. 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 I need you to make lad right now. Yeah. Yeah, baby. Sick. Do I have Typhon? I do. Hip hip hooray. What if you wanted to activate your effect, but I said Typhon? Get his ass. Wee. Bye bye. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I love this game. This game's so good. Oh. This game's so dumb, dude. I hate this game. It's so stupid. Oh, yeah, yo. Activate Branded Fusion. Oh, cool. We have a second gold card. Yeah, for sure, bud. Yeah, for sure, bud. Why not? Banish Mercurier? Banish Mercurier. Whoa. Targeting. Yep. Does this target? No, it just activates. Or a monster that mentions it. Sure. We'll go Leanne Colia. And we will target this guy. Alguber. Yeet. Blazing Cartesia. Whoa. Spellcaster? Fairy. Brand Fusion? Brand Fusion. Brand Fusion? Whoa. Summon Albion? Yep. Oh. Yeah. That Albion. That was not the Albion I was thinking of, but that works. I guess. No, it doesn't. I'm lying to you. What the hell? Why'd we do this? Because we're stupid. I forgot about that. I forgot we're a branded player. Right, right. Specifically a branded player in Plat. Sure. Easy, Yep. Fusion? Oh. What? Why? Why the hell are you here? I mean, yeah, for sure. I hate this game. This game's really good, I promise, dude. It's so good. Huh? Huh? Yeah? Sure. Okay. Yep, there's the dual beam. There's the dual beam. There it is. There's the card. We're gonna drill beam? No. We're gonna activate that fast. Go into what? Could be literally anything. Why are you a spellcaster? Man, I hate that you're a spellcaster. Did we sent another spellcaster. We could ban. Does that do anything? Oh, that doesn't do anything. Yeah, pop off king. I'd have to start blocking Blue Eyes players. Reasonable. So this is a card that does exist. That's true. That is true. That does exist. That is a card that does exist. Wow, that's crazy. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, wow. Wow, dude, I love Dragoon. Dragoon's so sick, dude. Dragoon is so interesting. Cool, anyway. Fucking threatening roar. Brother, I said no! Typhon stays! I like him. He's cool. Crow! Oh, you dumb bitch. Man, fuck you. Man, I hate it here. Man, this game sucks. Who the hell is playing? What is this? What is this, like, nonsense that I'm playing against? Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, sure. I know they have Drill Beam, right? Dark Magician. Moves from deck or grave? Alright. You simply, don't have another Dark Magician. Smile. Dark Magician isn't real, it can't hurt you. Smile. Now the question is, do I banish it? The answer is... Honestly, I kind of have to, don't I? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. I still just lose here, right? I knew I should have managed this one. Yep. Man, I hate this game. Oh, that's so annoying. Yeah, I really needed that. Damn. I really needed them to not have fucking DD. Dude, I can't believe I lost to that. That is maybe the worst deck I think I've ever lost to. Dude, this deck was so bad. But of course they drew everything, because they're branded, you know. When is branded never not drawn, literally? There's no way we're playing 3 DD Crow. This is what I mean, right? There's not a world in which you can tell me that branded requires you to be better than your opponent. Or just like that it requires skill when shit like that just gets to win the game off of activating branded fusion. Like, dude, a turtle could play that and still win. No, branding takes so much skill. It's so interesting. It requires so much knowledge. No, it doesn't. You either click the button or you don't. It's that simple. It's no more difficult than playing fucking Fiendsmith. I lose this matchup. This matchup's horrible for me. Voiceless Voice? Absolutely horrendous. What a good game. Dude, what a good game. Oh, what a good game. I can love playing against Branded and having them draw literally everything that they could have ever asked for, including this stupid ass bullshit ass fucking nonsense. That's Dragoon. Why is Dragoon still in the game? That card was banned for so long, and now we have to deal with it. And I hate it. Agent's also not good for me. Me. Bruh. My brother in Christmas. No one likes you. I'm calling 7. I'm calling 7. Yeah, get fucked. You wanted to mill cards? Nuh-uh. I hate it here. Never mind. Man, I hate this game. Dude, this game's so dumb. Yeah. Why did we not... Oh, because we drew it off of the... Okay. Yeah, sure. What do we... What? I hate this game. Dude, holy crap. This game's so good, dude. I love that every rank is just the most dog shit rank you've ever played. It's so good, dude. Why do I play Yu-Gi-Oh? Why is this the game that I've decided to play? Why the hell did we banish Big Bang? Because we're stupid. I hadn't thought about that. Shangri-Ira. Woo. Please make Zombie Vamp. I'd be so happy if you made Zombie Vamp, dude. I cannot express how much I would enjoy that. Zombie Vamp. Zombie Vamp. Zombie Vamp. Yeah, baby! Now I simply need to hit Rollback and Destructive Daruma Karma Cannon. Smile. No, we're not playing this. No, I'm not playing this again. Who are these people? Why are you... You've got to be kidding. My disappointment is immeasurable and my day is ruined! Yeah. Yeah, of course we're playing this. Why would we not be playing this? Pass. Okay, so they made this very easy for me because now I don't have to contest anything. Like, literally, nothing on this board does anything to me. Isn't that crazy? That's so sick, dude. I fucking love that. I heckin' love that. The problem is, I do just get absolutely demolished by the follow-up, which is full West waiting. Which is full West waiting, to say the least. Okay, well... The hell do you have that's activatable there? Like, genuine question. Huh? That one! Get him! You... Jane... hate that I still just lose because I didn't happen to draw the right traps. Ugh, that's so annoying. Okay, so this is my best option here. As much as I don't want this to be my best option, it is. It just is. I didn't hit it. I lose. That's frustrating. Oh, that's so annoying. Damn. Okay. Yep. Ooh. Oh. No, I didn't hit anything. Yeah. Of course I know, but I don't know. Huh? Yeah, sure. Of course, bud. That was maybe the worst. This is why I hate Plat, dude. Plat is just this over and over and over again. It's so stupid. It's just like, hey, what's the worst list you've ever seen in your entire... I had to open my goddamn mouth. I just lose now. That's so sick, dude. I fucking hate Chimera. Can you go fuck yourself, you stupid bitch? God, this game is ass. Imagine printing Chimera in any capacity. Just imagine printing those cards. I hope they die. I hope they realize how horrible of a human they are for just their mere existence. Dude, who at Konami okayed the Chimera cards? Who do I have to talk to get them fired? What is that? Oh. Oh, I thought I was gonna have to deal with actual bullshit. But no, we're good. I don't have to deal with the card that should absolutely be banned and never have been printed. Hip hip hooray. Imperm. Okay. If you're gonna allow me to go Drill Beam, I absolutely will, dude. Hell yeah. Don't you dare banish that Galaxy Serpent. Don't you dare banish the Galaxy Serpent. Oh, phew. Okay. Okay, we're good, we're good, we're good. Whew. Bro, stupid. We're good. Uh-huh. Yeah, uh-huh. Yeah, for sure, bud. Okay, cool. Load. A Drill Beam. Drill Beam. Reveal. Target this guy. Lordly Load. Galaxy Serpent. Special summon the Galaxy Serpent. Okay. Go. Unicron. Sure. Sure. Please just go combat. It'd be very funny. Sure. What did we add? What? Okay, sure. Combat. Let's go Olenoids. Targeting this guy. Please and thank you. We'll go Duster. Target. And target. Okay, coolio. Then everyone goes face down. Shooting a payload. Uh-huh. Coolio. Crazy. Make SP? A Rise Heart. Right. Sure. Tier Cash. Sure, yeah. I think this works the way that I want it to, but I don't know. It doesn't. So that's really frustrating. Uh-huh. If I go into another extra deck monster, I can go Typhon. Man, what a shit game. Never mind, forget I said anything, I just lose because Kashira cards are stupid and bullshit. Yeah. The card, like, kind of does something here. Let's go Drill Beam. Let's go normal summon Soldier Dragons. Let's flip up Galaxy Serpent. Let's go. So it's go Zeus here, right? Let's go Opabinia, attack, make double A. I hate that. That's like such a shit play. But that is like the correct thing to do, right? If I go Elf, I can give it target protection. And then I can wait for them to go, like, combat. Then I don't have my normal monster, which is very frustrating. I could go into... Nah, it's just Zeus. It's just Zeus. We do go the... What does this lose to? Oh, this loses to Imperm. Yeah, you do this. Except it doesn't lose to Imperm, had I done that correctly. No, you're right. Yeah, I misplayed. Yeah, I misplayed. Alright, let's go combat. Wait, which one's where? So I want to attack middle. Or I could have just gone combat there. That's fine. Not a very good card to draw there. What do they have left? Very little, right? Balance of Judgment doesn't really do anything here. I'm just not gonna set it. They don't have the field spell. They don't have Fenris. They don't have Unicorn. It's like just Birth. Birth is like one of the few cards that actually does anything here. They probably have Dragoon. Don't say that. That's gonna make me sad. Birth, yeah. Activate Birth. Activate Duster. Piece of shit. Deserved. To what end did he use Big Bang? To lose. What a horrible, no good, very bad game of Yu-Gi-Oh! That was just played. That is... Imagine winning a coin flip. Couldn't be me. It's test time, chat. You know what that means. More questionable decisions from Konami about rulings. That's right. 8 out of 10. 10. Oh. Which of these cards banishes itself to activate its monster effect? It's Rabbit, right? Yeah. Hooray. You control 3 cards and the opponent controls 2. The opponent activates their set evenly matched. After the chain resolves, how many cards remain on the field? Assume no other cards other than evenly matched activate their effects. 3, right? You activate Terrifying Trample Nightmare targeting Mirror Jade, which was fusion summoned, destroying it, and then banishing it, which is the correct resolution of the Ice Jade that requires the cards to leave the field because of an opponent's card. Is this negate? No. Okay. The effect activates after the card is banished and is applied. The effect cannot be activated. The effect activates before the card is banished and is applied. It's got to be this one, right? Says you can't draw cards. So duality. What is the name of this card? Freezing Curses? If you use Small World, banish Nib from your hand. Which of these cards can you banish from your deck if you want to add Fenris? Maxi? Does Maxi have 600 defense? I don't think so. Valor. Valor's not a psychic. Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. No. Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. It's that one, right? Because it's a psychic. Yeah. I love Small World. It's Small World is such a cool card. What happens if you activate the effect of Fenris? That banishes a card face down, and if we wonder, Fenris activate will banish it face up. Right? Because for some reason the Flunders are just like, fucking no, I go where I want. You have 12 cards banished, 6 are face up and 6 are face down. 3 monsters, 30 spells each. Your opponent also has 12 cards banished, 2 are spells and 10 are face down. How much attack does Helios have? Three? Okay. Cool. The effect of the continuous trap Imperial Wall is applied. Which of these following statements is true when you tribute summon Robina and Eaglin for M-Pen? The tributes are sent to grave, right? Should be this one. That one makes sense. What is the name of the... Okay, I really don't want to do the test again, even though I got only 9 out of 10, which bothers me immensely. I'm sorry, hold on. Explain this one to me. Explain this one to me. What? Why would this not... Why would it not be applied? Why would it not be applied? I know that they're gonna give me a terrible, no good, very bad answer that doesn't make any sense. But we gotta see. What is it? What does it say? To activate the effect of Mirror Jade, which requires the card to leave the field, it must currently be in the same location as when it initially left the field. Because Konami said so. That's why. Because Konami said so. Does that make sense? No. But because Konami said so. Because the card is first sent to the grave, and then immediately banished, it's in a different location from when it's in the field. I knew it was this one, and I knew I was gonna be wrong. But that doesn't make sense. Let's be honest. That's dumb and doesn't make sense, and I hate these stupid tests because they're so stupid and don't make any sense. The rest of these questions were fine. This one is just because Konami said so. I hate it. We all need PhDs to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Yep. Yerp. Anyway, I'm gonna call it quits there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy it. If you did, I like us very much. We'll appreciate it. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.